Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show is about to begin.
Presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco.
Yep.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
It's in the beans.
It's in the beans. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my beaten co-hosts, John Luke Garofalo and Andrew Cooper. What's up, boys?
What up?
What up, dude?
You guys doing all right? Bright and early this Monday morning?
Yeah.
No.
What happened?
What happened?
Dude, I actually threw my back out this weekend. You guys ever pull that one? You ever do the old hurt?
Yeah, I've been a baby back bitch.
Wake up around back hurty?
Yes. Both of those things I'm familiar with.
Yeah. So I'm sitting up straight today, let's just say. But I'm getting through it. Feeling better already. So
The next 3 hours are going to be therapeutic for you.
It's gonna be
Let's just
good.
say
This is
that.
exactly what the doctor ordered for me to
Exactly what the
sit in
doctor
chair for 3 straight hours. So should be good. Fix that right up.
Yeah.
Was it the beautiful kind of throwing your back out where you just wake up and it happened? Where you
No.
don't even know what did it?
Dude, the thing is, I don't know what did it, but going back through, it could have been any number of things. Like right around the time when it started hurting, like I decided to, for some reason, sit in my living room in a plastic chair and play video games. I also jumped on the bed, the guest bed, to pet my dog. Like there were like 10 different things that I did, and then I was like, all of a sudden my back hurts. I don't know what could have done it. You know, like going through the list of things.
Sitting around all normal all day.
Like it might have been this. It might have been the cartoonish way I jumped onto the bed just now.
For absolutely no reason other
For
than to
no reason at all.
impress my dog.
The dog was not happy with it. The dog was not happy with the maneuver at all. So I don't know who that move was for, because it wasn't for me. My wife would have been very upset by the way I jumped on our guest bed. So yeah, my mom would
I
have.
think it was for you, Coop.
My mom
I think it
for
was for
years have been saying, "Do not jump on the bed." So shout out, mom. Yeah, I think it was for me. And for all of us. So glad I earned this injured back doing all that.
Coop's like, I also lifted my fridge to impress my wife, but she didn't care at all.
She wasn't home.
No.
She walked in the kitchen. I just said, "What's this?" And I lifted with my back to show her I was a man.
The more I think about it, it's all for you boys. It's all for the gang. So
Did you get it on video?
nope.
How the hell was it for us, Coop?
I know. Next time, need the equipment.
We got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Tommy over here said, "What a great weekend. It sure was fun." And it ended with Lillard dropping down 71. Dame was on fire, a blazer. He did what he pleased. That man put up 13 threes. And in the world of fighting, something wasn't just right. MMA canceled the main event and Jake Paul lost a fight. The baseball world is in a bit of a shock. The game just ended because of a clock. The NHL season is a full def A. Boston Bruin just got checked by a ref. The XFL just finished week 2. Haven't caught a game. I suggest that you do. It is post NFL and we have so many sports, but Thursday we get to watch big guys in shorts.
Dear Lord, Tommy.
What
that
a
was a long
poem
one.
by Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy was
My
up all night
goodness.
working on that one right there. Beautiful, Tommy.
And the response you get from this show to all those other sports, don't care.
Hey, I like some other sports.
Yeah, dude. You know what's the thing is? The Bruins checked by a ref thing, which was obviously interesting, but you missed the even bigger event from that game. Did you guys see what happened in the Bruins game?
No.
No.
Dude,
No.
the goalie, Linus Ullmark, scored a goal.
And I'm guessing that doesn't happen very often in hockey. It sounds unlikely.
It happens. So it happens. Put it this way: it's only happened 15 times in the history of the sport. Which
How did he do it? Did he leave or did he just do it from the other end?
he came out. So they pulled they pulled their goalie to, with the last minute shenanigans. He came out to get a puck and he was like facing his own boards, like he was going to just like passed to one of
So
his
he was
guys.
turned around.
And then he just quickly turned and shot like a turnaround full court J. Just flicked it all the way up, sauced it down the ice, went right down the middle of the net. So yeah, only 15 times. So there's been more like perfect games. There's been more people that hit for the cycle, like all these other stats. Like I was looking at like some of the rarest occasions in sports. The goalie goal is crazy rare. And not only have there only been 15, but some of those ones technically count for the goalie. Like if I were to pass it to, let's say I was playing against Simon's team. If I were to, as the goalie, pass it to Simon and then he were to put it in his own net, I get credit for that goal. So the actual ones where the goalie shoots it into the net are crazy rare.
Simon, how good are you at skating?
Does stopping get included in this formula? Because
Yes.
I'm pretty good at going. And I can turn really well, and I can just like I can go in a circle. Like if it's like free skate at the ice forum and you're seeing who can go in a circle the best.
So it's totally reasonable that Coop, if you pass it to Simon, Simon would score on his own goal.
That's what I was saying. That's why it's so crazy to actually score without Simon's help. Without being
Because
I would
competent
fall in
to
the
Simon
same category.
helping you. Yeah.
You guys ever played broom ball or stick ball?
Yes. I feel like I have.
Feel like it?
The baseball
Coop, have
one?
you? It's where most like ice skating rinks, at least ones I've been to, will rent the facility out to you after hours for like $7 a head if you've got a big group. They set up the hockey goals, and then they give everyone a stick with like a little rubber mallet on the end of it and put a rubber ball in the center, like an inflated ball.
I would like to change my answer to no. I have not done it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, definitely not.
And you go out there in your tennis shoes. They don't give you ice skates on two teams, and you play hockey basically. And it is the most fun,
I feel like I've seen this on
most
TV.
dangerous activity I've been a part of. By the time you leave, everyone's in so much pain because you're flying everywhere, slipping. But it's one of the most fun activities I've done with like a large group.
Whoa.
Sounds pretty dangerous.
Ooh.
That does sound pretty dangerous.
Well, I guess I'll just play again by myself. Guys, it is
I'll play with
that
you.
time of morning. I hope everybody in the chat's ready. Got something to eat because we got all the news stories. We got all the topics. You guys just got to bring your own breakfast. I see Better Boss in the chat saying happy Monday, everyone. Welcome in, Matt. Just in time for
Happy
some
Monday.
breakfast. And Tommy said, missed you guys. And
Missed you, Tommy.
just commenting on just how rare that goalie goal is. Said, nor since Martin Brodeur.
Yeah, good call by Tommy.
No,
too.
since Martin Brodeur.
I'm sitting here with my
Ah.
injured back,
Exactly,
listening to
said
this
it.
story of just slipping all over ice in your shoes. It sounds like the very last thing I'd want to do right now.
That sounds
Very
delightful.
last.
Very
Maybe
last,
it's
dude.
one of those things where you get out there on your shoes and you kind of fall, and everyone's like, "Oh no, he had a bad back," but secretly, it fixes you.
The old classic get hit in the head twice trope.
Yeah, the undo.
You just
The undo hit.
it. Yeah, that almost always works in real life.
I feel like once every third episode in Futurama, they pull that bit on Fry.
Yeah.
Like bump in the head on bump in the head, zapped with a memory eraser, re-zapped with the memory eraser, like, and they just do like that's just like a running gag. He's just
That's
constantly having his brain white.
That's what the character Fry needs, more head trauma.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, but there was one thing I wanted to point out from this weekend that I absolutely loved. And it's not NFL. Since we're talking obscure sports quarterly here with Tommy, from the XFL, did you see AJ McCarron's comments and also The Rock's comments on what he
Yes.
said?
No.
So very good. For anybody that
Shout out Dustin.
didn't see it, yeah, Dustin was the one that sent it to us. Basically, AJ McCarron said that he could have taken more money to sign with an NFL team, but then he doesn't get to play, right? So he said that his kids, like 6-year-old kid, loves watching his highlights on YouTube. So he decided to take an XFL deal so that he could actually play and start creating memories. And The Rock, who is a co-owner of one of the teams, said, guy takes less money signing with us over the NFL because he wanted his little boys to see him play. Now he's 2-0 and led his team to back-to-back exciting last-minute wins. I'd say he's creating some memories for his boys. AJ's decision means a hell of a lot to me personally. That's from The Rock. Pretty damn cool.
That's
Pretty
very
damn
cool.
I'll tell you right now, dude, if we're talking monetary compensation, like I don't know how much a compliment from The Rock is worth, but
Cash that in, AJ.
probably a lot more than whatever he would have got from the NFL. How do you feel about it, Joe?
No,
it's
it's
awesome.
sweet, and it makes me like AJ McCarron quite a bit. Not that I disliked the guy before, but
I didn't think about him.
he knows his priorities, right? His
I
priorities
see.
aren't fame or wealth. His priorities are creating a memorable and happy life for him and his family. And that's pretty cool to see him put it into action. Like when faced with that decision, say, nah, like this is going to be better for my family. So this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and I bet that means a lot to The Rock. I mean, this is something he's trying to create, right? He's trying to create these opportunities, get XFL off the ground, and as an actual, staying power here in sports. So I respect this. I respect this from AJ. I think, and I think his reasoning is sound. Rather play, take less money. Like that's awesome. That's just like a noble decision.
And now just imagine this is for sure going to happen for those kids now. The Rock is going to invite them to a game live, like with him. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're already at most
They
of the
get to hang
games.
on hang each shoulder. Yeah.
He's just going to flex like this with a kid on each arm. That's
Yeah.
going to be their seat on the sideline for the entire game. He's going to
He just
walk
holds them up.
It's like the Booger Mobile, but it's The Rock carrying AJ
The
McCarron's
Rockmobile.
kids down the sideline.
Nice.
Beautiful.
It's going to
Be
be
his workout for the day.
gorgeous.
But I wouldn't even be a workout for him, dude. It'd be a workout for him to carry two of us like that, probably. For him carrying kids, dude, that's like us wearing like a tank top.
That's like him carrying his
That's
lunch
us
into
wearing
the
a
work.
tank top.
Yeah.
It's the same weight as just a piece of cloth resting on our shoulder.
That's like
The Rock is a full 6-year-old.
It is. It's like having like a bird on his shoulder. He's like, oh, I forgot you were there.
He wears a 50-pound shirt every day just so when he jumps, he doesn't take off on accident.
Dude, have you
He's
ever
so strong.
Have you ever seen like the like they've done do these things where they ask The Rock like what he eats during the day? Have you ever seen?
Yeah, I have seen that.
It's always like I start the day with 76 eggs, and then I have 4 chickens for lunch. It's like, dude, how
Four chickens.
can you dominate a species more than that?
To eat 4 of them for lunch. Yeah, I mean,
and 70 for breakfast. Like seriously though, it's like insane. He's like, then I have a bag of rice. They're like, how much is a bag?
He's like single-handedly keeping the chicken population in control.
Yeah, The Rock takes it pretty seriously.
there's going to be unintended consequences one day whenever The Rock passes. All of a sudden, the world's chicken population is going to soar, and people are going to be like, "What is going on?"
The
Turns
Rock,
out
the Rock.
The number one natural enemy of chickens is no longer with us. Sir, we have a serious problem.
Who are we going to get to replace them? There is no one to replace.
This is 80 chickens a day, not accounted for.
Multiplying at a ridiculous rate.
Just imagine what the general is like on the chicken side when he sees The Rock coming. He's like, they have a super weapon.
That was
God, that was
picture
the
on Twitter,
loudest
was
chicken
It
noise.
was a chicken
Way-
shitting his pants.
Way
with that
too
noise.
early for that chicken noise.
I did not expect that to come out of your mouth.
Way too early for that chicken sound.
Dude said, imagine what the chicken general would say. I think that's very close, if not word
I
for
think you
word.
nailed it.
what
Honestly,
he
I
would
thought he was
say.
in the room.
No question, dude. I thought the chicken general was here and The Rock and the American general all here. In that
What's the
moment.
chicken general's name? General Cluck?
General Cluckhauser.
General Cluck McClucksker.
But guys,
Pretty wild.
there was some big news in the NFL. Back over to the sport we generally talk about. The Rams
Same
are in
sport.
trade talks regarding Jalen Ramsey. He's likely to be dealt in the coming weeks. This comes directly from the NFL website saying that he's likely to be dealt. There's a couple teams that have been in talks with him, but it's just looking more and more like this Rams team they're selling it. They're not going for next year. They're boarding it up and starting over.
I'm telling you, I said I don't know what it is. I think people are just like scared to argue with me on Twitter now. Even though I said I was gonna be nice. I said I was gonna be nice. I told everyone I was gonna start being nice, but I said the Rams should trade Cooper Kupp, and nobody came in to say no. I was like, cracking my fingers, put a coffee on when I put that tweet up. People aren't arguing with it, man. People think the Rams should blow it up. I don't know. What do you guys think? One guy did come in and make some good points.
What were those points?
So he basically came in and said, hey, you know what? The Rams don't prioritize certain things. They've never prioritized middle linebacker. This is in regards to letting Bobby Wagner walk, right? And in this case, they need to free up cap. So they're willing to let Jalen Ramsey walk. So, they basically won the Super Bowl in the backs of Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. If Matt Stafford can be an MVP caliber player and Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp, then they can allocate their funds elsewhere. So they have to make sacrifices in certain spots. And some fans seem to believe that they can get away with those particular spots, right? They also made the point that, that they, of course, they don't have a first-round pick this year, but beyond that, they're kind of back to having all their picks back, right? The Matthew Stafford trade impact is over with. So, I don't know. They seem to believe that they can get through this and compete in the near future, if not this year. But do you guys think that that's possible, or where are you at with them?
I think both sides of this are absolutely possible. Rams are in a spot where I feel like they could go either direction. They have the pieces to navigate this either way. Sean McVay, I don't think is the type of guy that's going to take a long-term play here, a long play strategy. So I think it's more likely than not they don't blow up this team.
Them becoming a contender, though, I bet they don't blow it up and they're just an average team this year. The offense looks a lot better, but that defense is going to struggle compared to Rams defenses we've seen over the last couple seasons. And we get an average team, but hopefully this is the recipe we like for fantasy, right? Good offense, bad defense. This could hopefully go from being one of the least exciting teams for fantasy, minus maybe a good Cam Akers or a good Cooper Kupp game at the beginning of the season, to one of the more exciting teams for fantasy, potentially with pretty consolidated targets.
More of what they've been.
Cooper Kupp in there, and then if we can figure out who the running back is, yeah, more of what they've been, but with a worse defense.
I mean, they have Cam Akers under contract. The only two guys under contract are Cam Akers and Kyron Williams. And Cam Akers, quietly, I'm going through it, looking at every team, and he ended the season with like back-to-back 100-yard games. Looked pretty good. So
it's great to end the season.
Also, Allen Robinson quietly, obviously didn't have a good season, but quietly had 11 end zone targets, which is top 10 for the position, and he only played 10 games. So, I mean, there's a possibility that Matt Stafford comes back, he's healthy, and when he's healthy, he's an MVP caliber quarterback. There's no question about that. I mean, he was a Super Bowl MVP last time he was healthy. I mean, there's a possibility this team does provide some cheap fantasy assets, especially in Dynasty. If you're all in now, like 30-year-old Cooper Kupp, 35-year-old Matt Stafford, like, you're not going to find a cheaper MVP caliber player, right? The wheels are all coming off eventually, but just saying.
Maybe not this year. Tommy in the chat saying Kupp to the Patriots for Mac Jones and 2 picks.
If we're doing
so Mac
that,
Jones can be their third string quarterback.
I was saying, if we're doing that, they might as well send Stafford along with them. You know what I mean? Like, send all the boys. Send all the old boys you got.
Send all the boys.
Yeah. Send Aaron Donald too. We'll take them all.
Yeah. There we go, Coop. That's a reasonable plan. Kupp, Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford to the Patriots for Mac Jones and 2 picks. Who says no?
2 picks.
Everyone except for Patriots fans.
Perhaps some more picks. Perhaps some more picks in there than that.
Tommy said you put Kupp and Carr on the Falcons. Just completely change that team.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine that offense with Kyle Pitts, Cooper Kupp, and Drake London? That's pretty cool.
That would be pretty sweet.
Still
Carr would have to be the happiest man on earth throwing to that core.
Yeah, still need an offensive line, but
yeah,
people have survived with that one. And Algier, can't forget the quietest 1,000-yard running back in the league last year, Tyler Algier. He's in that offense as well.
A lot of statistics point to him being one of the better pure runners in the game. Like all the behind-the-scenes stats that we like about Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, J.K. Dobbins. Like the yards after contact stuff, breakaway run rate stuff. Algier kind of was that dude. But he's also one of the guys that was drafted at the part of the NFL draft where he could get vaporized if they just come out and draft it, pass catching back. Same with like Dameon Pierce. We saw it happen to Michael Carter. So he's an interesting spot, Algier. Are you guys buying Algier or are you selling Algier? Or are you holding Algier?
This is the type of player that I get I'm still uncertain on what to do with because, Coop, I think you laid it out. there just is uncertainty that we can't resolve until post NFL draft. So I'm probably the teams I have him. I'm probably hoping that nothing happens, potentially selling if there's someone who's very excited about him. On teams where I don't have him, I'm probably not trading for him right now because of the uncertainty regarding his draft capital. He's not secure.
That's the old hold. That's the hold right there. Where you're not.
It's the hold leaning sell. Like I'll trade him
yeah.
if someone wants to trade at top value.
If enough people have seen the same tweets that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, Algier is an interesting case. On one hand, he could be a trap. I don't think he comes without risk, but he could be a pretty big value. I don't recall where he was on those trade value charts from this past week, Alex's trade value charts.
I do. We mentioned him briefly because the reason he came up is that we were like, why is Damian Pierce two, as we would call them, hogs? So 10 points. 2 hogs above where Tyler Algier
I forgot about that.
Right? Like, why is it was like Damian Pierce was here and then Cam Akers was 1 tier below and Algier was a tier below both. And we were basically wondering aloud if all these guys are good rushers that are in seemingly bad offenses, why is this one so much cheaper than the others? He was actually in a pretty reasonably priced spot, JL.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think all of those guys were a little bit valued highly, if I remember correctly. I remember Damian Pierce being up there for me. Yes. So there's a chance that Algier is a little too highly priced at this point as a fantasy asset for me to buy, but I think he's on that line where it really depends on your league mate, and your league mate might swing either way. And so he's a really good candidate to reach out to whoever is the manager of Tyler Algier and just try and get a litmus test.
I think it probably has to do with momentum coming into the season. Damian Pierce, the hype train started before the season started. Know what I mean? People were, his value was rising. They started getting excited. His draft cost started going up and up and up. And then bam, we saw it, right? With some excitement. He was breaking tackles like nobody's business. He was also an exciting type of player. Tyler Algier started behind Cordero Patterson on the depth chart, right? He didn't really take over as the lead back for the vast majority of the season. We'd see a big Tyler Algier game and then, wait, they're getting the other rookie involved? I can't even remember his name, but there were games where he got out.
Carlos Felipe. Do
you remember the other rookie running back's name on the Falcons that sometimes got work?
No.
Yeah. Caleb Huntley.
Caleb Huntley.
Not too early for me, baby.
And so he was getting some work. So it took a while for us to believe that Tyler Algier was the main back there, even though he was racking up 60, 70-yard games in the meantime. I just think the preseason momentum made people focus on Damian Pierce, and then they got that payoff. Tyler Algier didn't have the preseason momentum and then didn't have the flashy entrance into the league. He was behind a guy and worked his way up the depth chart.
That's true. And that's true how it works like that, where they were, and we forget all the guys that we were hyping up in preseason, like how quickly they fell to the wayside. Like the hype for those guys.
Sam Darnold.
Dan
Sarnold.
Yeah. What you guys remember? Ty Davis Price? Or hyping up as possibly, Tyrion Davis Price. We were as possibly the 49ers starting running back. And then all of a sudden that's just over. So the hype can disappear pretty quickly and the sentiments can change quickly.
It's very true.
Darnell Mooney. We were hyping him up to be the wide receiver 1 in Chicago. And
Rashad Bateman.
Here's another one for you guys, and it's related to some news that came out. Is Chiefs expected to decline CEH's 5th-year option, so bring up CEH as one of those guys whose value just kind of evaporated.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough, especially because you could have got. I mean, the thing is, the 3 guys that were in the conversation for that first pick, seems pretty clear that Jonathan Taylor was the right answer. But I mean, DeAndre Swift hasn't been that amazing either. Those guys all went within 10 picks of each other, right? CH was the last pick of the first round, and then those guys were early second. It might have even been 5 picks of each other. But Swift, I mean, how do you guys feel about Swift right now?
I feel like we just saw a report this past week. I don't think we brought it up on the show because I was thinking about it, but the report was around DeAndre Swift, and it was from a beat reporter who was saying that they don't think DeAndre Swift is going to return this next season. They won't be able to find a reasonable agreement to keep him in Detroit.
Well, he's not isn't he under contract? It's Jamal Williams that's the free agent. Isn't Swift?
I don't know if they're talking about just this year or the following year, but they're just talking about like in general the scheme of Swift, Swift his future.
That he's not that they won't be able to extend him. Yeah, because this is the time when a lot of like when you look at like Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow, that's the conversation. They still have a year on their contract, but you got to extend those guys, right? So like with Swift, if he's your long-term plan, now is when you extend him. Think of all the wide receivers that were drafted the year before that. AJ Brown and DK Metcalf and Debo Samuel, like they all got paid. So if they're not paying Swift before the season starts, it's the writing's almost on the wall that he's gone. And the thing is, Swift, he kind of ended up in a weird spot for this rebuild because usually you don't go after a running back this early in a rebuild. But it was Matt Patricia that picked him. He was one of the last picks of the old regime trying to cling to their jobs. So they go out and they draft what can make the most impact right away. Oh, we'll take a running back high in the second round, see if that fixes things. So I'm not surprised that an old regime running back, if they're just going to let him walk, he's going to be a big pickup for somebody, though, I think.
I have the report here. This comes from the Athletics' Colton Pouncey about 4 days ago. So February 23rd is when this tweet came out. He said, the Athletics' Colton Pouncey writes, I'm not sure there's a future between the Lions and DeAndre Swift, given Swift's injury history and the money he'd likely want.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, you build the team from the inside out. It's kind of hard to go after, like bring these guys back. I mean, they already traded TJ Hawkinson, who was one of the other picks from the old regime. So
yeah, right.
They want their own guys.
He said this report is it has most likely been assumed by Detroit's beats that Jamal Williams will return in free agency after leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns. And then Pouncey believed that they're going to possibly draft a new running back in this draft, a young running back in this draft.
Seems about right. I mean, I still have to do my deep dive on the running backs in this draft. But if you're going to keep Jamal Williams and he's going to be the early down, goal line, ground and pound guy, then the guy you want to bring in is somebody who does what Swift does, catching passes. There is a name, Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm not sure if you know much about this guy, JL, but
no, I've
been seeing on the high end things him getting comped to Alvin Kamara. Yeah,
interesting.
So yeah, that kind of player. A lot of people are saying he's the second best running back off the board after Bijan Robinson, who's pretty obviously the number one. So I could see that being a good pairing. The thing about a guy like Gibbs is that, when you have that pass catching ability in this league, the way it's set up now, you're good on any team, right? You can never have too many guys like that. Muted, Joe.
Thank you. Rosie was growling, and I was terrified she was going to scare the poop out of all of us.
Rosie. Yeah.
Rosie.
Scare more than Simon did earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. She lays there's a window right on the other side of the computer. She just lays there staring out onto the park, seeing who she can growl at. Don't you dare go in my park. Oh, you did it. Oh, I'm going to get you so good the next time I see you.
I'm going to sniff that when I get outside.
When I get outside, I'm sniffing that pea spot.
Sometimes
the thing I was saying while muted was bringing it back to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. How are you guys feeling about that whole situation? What do you do with him in Dynasty?
Trade for him. I mean, why not? He's a former first-round running back that's not having his fifth-year option picked up. Got outsnapped by a seventh-round rookie and a 35-year-old running back, and Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco flip-flop him. His value, I don't know if it can get lower unless he just retires for a former first-round pick running back that's under 25 years old, under 24 years old, or however old Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. He's a young first-round running back. Trade for him. Worst-case scenario is he sucks, and you probably lost a third-round pick, a second-round pick.
I have him in a league, and I'll tell you right now that I know all the fallacies surrounding this game. Like the gambler's fallacy of like, this I'll hit because I didn't hit last time. I know all the fallacies, and still
impressive.
I'm mentally too pot committed. Like I know in my mind it's wrong to say I invested this much in this player. I can't sell him for nothing. I know that's wrong. Still can't get beyond it. still mentally
some
cannot
players.
wrap my head around it. Yeah,
They're just
so,
your blind spot.
Yeah, so I'll go to the Looney bin. I can't sell them for a third. You know what I mean? So I'll just ride it into the ground. Hopefully,
you know what I think it is? The reason it's harder to give up on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I think we have an inherent trust of Patrick Mahomes. He's a trustworthy guy, and we sit here and subconsciously think like, if Patrick Mahomes handpicked him, if Patrick Mahomes hand-selected him for this offense, like, there's no way he's wrong. Like, I'm not like I'm buying in on what he's saying. I trust Patrick.
I know. Maybe they should have let the scouts make the pick. All right. It's like that. I had a tweet about the same exact thing when it was like Aaron Rodgers needs more control of the team, just like Patrick Mahomes when he picked Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Jonathan Taylor. Like, thank God they didn't get Jonathan Taylor, honestly.
Oh, that would have been lights out.
It would have been a nightmare, dude. Like, the thing is, if this guy, he was supposed, and the rationale for us picking him in Dynasty, like, you can't really go back and say that it was a bad decision because you picked a guy that was touted as one of the better pass catching backs, going to one of the better teams as a first round pick with the backing of Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
I don't think anyone could have seen this playing out the way it played out, right? Like, I think any reasonable person would have looked at all those ingredients and been like, "Yep, this is a recipe for goodness."
To call it out, the evidence pointed to it being an exception. Like, if you did call it out, you were calling it as an exception to what all of the evidence says is going to happen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
right.
Sorry, it took me a second to understand what you just said.
Oh, well, I did this really cool thing where I took exactly what you said, but then phrased it in the opposite.
Yeah.
Just the quick reverso to emphasize.
That was a little bit too hard of a turn for me this early in the morning. I'm a slow turner.
I'm a slow turner.
I'm like a big barge ship. Yeah.
U-turns only right now. the big wraparound ones that they have near the interstates in Texas.
Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about.
You familiar with those, Coop? You ever been in a state where they have the big, like, at every interstate exchange, there's a lane all the way to the left side where you don't have to go to a light. You don't have to get on the interstate. You can just U-turn onto the frontage road on the other side and get back on the interstate.
Oh, no, we don't really have that, dude.
I've learned a lot since I've moved to Texas. That is for sure one thing Texas has gotten right that every other state should implement, because there is no more shit. I should have gotten on the interstate there, or like, oh, I'll just pop a U at the next one, or you missed your exit, just get off, immediate U-turn back on.
Nothing is worse than missing your exit and seeing that it adds like 15 minutes onto your time.
There's a turn in Providence. Anyone that's ever been to Providence, there's a turn. If you go take a right, if you're driving past the Providence Place Mall and you take a right, there's like no signage, and it just immediately puts you onto the highway. And if you don't get 2 lanes over, it puts you on another highway. Like, where, So if you're just trying to get in highways, if you're just trying to get in the mall parking lot and you miss that, like, you could literally leave the state. Like, it is one of those. I mean, it's like Providence and in Boston, all the roads were designed by, like, a dude on a horse with like a lantern. So the whole thing is just a mess in the first place. But some of them are inexplicable. Like that.
Is that different than Providence, Rhode Island?
Oh, Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah,
it's the same thing.
What?
Same place?
Providence. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Providence,
okay.
Rhode Island. Like the thing
I have been there. I have been there once in my life.
Oh yeah.
It was an interesting experience. My sister and I went into this what we thought was a toy store. It was called Euro Toys, and it was certainly no toy store. Not for children anyway.
You guys got some lightsabers.
You could say that.
I love how they used
learned about flashlights.
I love how, what's it called when you put something at the beginning of a word and it changes the meaning, like pre-test.
Prefix?
A prefix. Man, I even got the word pre as the example of the prefix that we were going for, and I couldn't think of it. I love how they used Euro as a prefix, meaning sex. No, know what I mean? Like,
the children don't understand.
How do we describe to them what we're talking about? Just say they're European toys, and they'll understand what we mean.
Yeah.
So that these sneaky adult store names. There was a store near me growing up called the Gift Spot, and during the day, all of the letters would be normal on the sign, but then at night, they were neon letters, but the I, F, and the T conveniently did not light up at night.
What did it say again? I've already forgotten.
Gift spot is
Gift
what
spot. So the
is what
I,
it
the
said.
F, and the T. So okay, I gotcha.
So you would just drive by the store at night, and in big bright letters, it would say G spot on the side of the road until they got in big trouble with the city and had to fix it.
That's kind of funny though.
There was like a news article about it and everything in the local paper where I grew up.
That's pretty smart marketing. I'm not gonna lie.
Right? Pretty clever. It was,
Yeah, you can't be that mad about that.
because the first time you see it, you're like, oh my God, their letters went out. And then like a month later, you're like, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
That was 100% on purpose.
So back to this Clyde Edwards-Helaire, them expected to decline the 5th-year option. Does it change anything for how you guys are maneuvering the other players on the team, the Isaiah Pacheco's? That's it. That's all I really care about.
It probably helps Pacheco's value a little bit, right? Maybe a little bit more security, but he's in a similar boat to these other guys we talked about. The lack of draft capital makes it a little bit scary. We've seen Jerick McKinnon come in and take all of the receiving work. So even if it's not McKinnon next year, they've shown me nothing to think that Pacheco's going to be a 3-down back.
Yeah.
That he's going to be the one getting the receiving work. So he's got limited upside. So it marginally raises his value, probably just from a safety standpoint, not from a upside standpoint.
Right.
That's where I tend to lean on it.
Coop, you got anything to add?
For Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Yeah.
I mean, I just for in terms of dynasty, I don't see any landing spot that could be better than Kansas City Chiefs, where he's going to have more upside. That's what scares me as a guy who has him rostered in a couple places. So, but what do you have to see what happens?
Yeah. Another player that likely off-season implications here. There's going to probably be a transaction that we're getting a report last show is Joe Mixon. So the Athletics' Jay Morrison tweeted out that Joe Mixon could be a cap casualty for the Bengals this offseason. Something we've discussed earlier in the offseason as a possibility. You guys doing anything with Mixon?
I've looked kind of in depth at his situation, and a big part of it is the way his contract is structured. He's due basically $15 million, but 10 of that can come off the books if they cut him. So they would only have $5 million cap hit. I don't know. The way I look at it is like Joe Burrow has been talking, they've been talking about him taking this contract that is going to be team friendly. I don't see why they wouldn't try and work out an extension with Mixon that takes that cap hit and makes it a little more manageable. There's ways that you can maneuver the books to fix those cap hits a little bit. So if they want him there, they can have him there. So it might sound like maybe they just think that they can replace him with somebody else for a lot cheaper. The problem, and this is the same problem you run into with Zeke, is that like when you cut that guy, you're going to have whatever you pay the next guy plus his cap hit on the books. So I see all these people being like, oh, they're going to cut Mixon and they should bring in Pollard. And it's like, okay, so you're going to pay Joe Mixon $5 million and then pay Tony Pollard $10 million. Why don't you just keep Joe Mixon? You know what I mean? It's like some of those moves don't make a lot of sense to me. If you're going to do that, you're doing it because you need that money bad. So they're not. I don't see a world where they cut Mixon and then replace him with another $10 million back.
You draft a guy, or you get a cheaper guy. You sign a couple cheaper guys.
Right. You draft a guy, or I mean, in this market, if you think about it, like there's so many good backs that are free agents: Miles Sanders, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery. Like you could take
Jones,
Kareem Hunt. They could sign Kareem Hunt, who's a free agent.
Daniel Jones ran for 700 yards. Yeah, like you could.
I missed that. That went right past.
You could sign there's a bunch of guys that like if a top tier is going for a ton of money, you could sign Devin Singletary. He's gonna be a free agent. Damian Harris is a free agent. We haven't really seen the pass catching chops from him, but like you said, Kareem Hunt, their own guy, Samaje Perine floating around. So you could patch it together for cheap.
Sign Jerick McKinnon and Jamal Williams and have your duo
super
right
team.
There.
Yeah.
Can't let them get that powerful. That's too much. Power of anime friendship and Patrick Mahomes. It's far too much.
Far.
Oh,
The Halo theme
all
song.
the pieces coming together. Yeah.
Oh. Dustin in the chat said, "Good morning, fellas. Good morning, Dustin.
Morning, Dustin.
What do you think life would be like if you just like put your AirPods in and just played the Halo theme music as you walked around all day? I can't decide what kind of mood it would put me in. It might destroy me, but it also might like make me like really destroy the day. But one of the two, either I'm going to end in tears or the day's going to get just
like
absolutely manhandled.
Pre-epic battles in Halo, where it's just like you're about to fight a giant fight sequence. And then they play the music leading into it. You're about to get ready. Those are unbeatable.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Those memories, dude. I think by the end of the day, you would just be hovering. You would just levitate.
There's some bridge you had to take. Just hordes of those aliens.
Oh yeah, dude.
Your partner comes home at the end of the day, and you're in the kitchen, just like floating in front of the sink with the dishes washing themselves in front of you, and the music is now like playing out loud through the streets. She's
I think that's actually how I hurt my back.
Washing the dishes.
I was doing that on Friday. Yeah.
As one more, it
said mix into the Chiefs would make for a great AFC Championship game. CEH to the Bengals and mix into the Chiefs.
Just a swippy swap.
Swap them. I still think the number one landing spot for running back is the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. It's just you have Mike McDaniel, great coach. You have the weapons to stretch the field and open things up underneath. You have Teron Armstead, who is one of the maybe not Trent Williams, but he's one of the better left tackles in the league. You have Connor Williams, who's an awesome center. Like that team is looking poised and ready to rock and roll. And I mean, Jeff Wilson was looking like a stud on that team. So you throw
watch your mouth.
You throw a Josh Jacobs or a Saquon Barkley over there. Now you got a stew going.
What you're saying about Jeff Wilson that I didn't already say during the season, because I was the resident Jeff Wilson hater over and over and over again. And boy, did he keep proving me wrong for a stretch of games there.
Except for that one time you bought into him. And then it didn't work out so well.
That's how it works, right? Every time.
It's like 1 week you're like, all right, I'm all in on Jeff. And then Jeff.
Simon's like, all right, this Christian Watson guy scored 7 touchdowns in 3 games. I'm ready to be on board. And he gets his 2 passes.
We got Albert in the chat. Said, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Albert. Albert likes this next story, I bet.
What you got?
This is some interesting weekend news, some interesting weekend smoke we got. So the New York Post reported that the Washington owner, Daniel Snyder, could decide to maintain his ownership after bids to buy the team fell short of Snyder's $6 billion cutoff. This came from NBC Sports Edge, reporting on the New York Post. That is interesting. He's barred Jeff Bezos from the auction, apparently. He's benched him.
Yes. So the rumors I saw were that, so first of all, they had already determined in advance, like the ownership group determined that like you can't own media outlets if you're going to be part of the ownership groups. Like the owners as a group have to decide if they want to let you in the club, right? So they basically decided that because he owns the Washington Post, that he would have to sell that. But basically Snyder was like, dude, this guy owns the Washington Post and they've been skewering us and reporting on all this stuff. And that's half the reason we're being required to sell the team. So I'm a private owner of the team. I'm not selling the team to this asshole, right? But it was actually not even Bezos' camp that reported that. Did you see who actually were the ones that reported that Bezos wasn't allowed to bid on the team?
New York Post.
It was Bank of America.
Oh, wow.
So Bank of America is the third-party group that, and I don't know why they released this info, but Bank of America is the third-party group that's been in charge of like accepting the like quiet bids from the team. And basically, what you do is you reach out to, if you're actually qualified to put in a bid, you reach out to Bank of America, and then they send you the financials, like private financials for you to make the decision. Apparently Bezos' camp reached out and Bank of America told them, hey, you're on the list of people that can't even look at these financials and can't even put in a bid. Yeah.
So the iBankers, the investment bankers, is what you're saying is Bank of America.
It's Bank of America. Yeah. So it's like same thing happens in commercial real estate. Like I'm selling a property, my agent, like you have to basically prove that you deserve to get this confidential information, and then they send it over. Like that's what they're doing now. And Bezos' camp can't even get the information they would need to put a bid in.
The top offer. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Simon.
I was gonna say it makes sense from Snyder's side, but you did also say why would he sell to this guy as being an asshole to him? I just want to clarify. the reporting on the Commanders was just calling Snyder out on being an asshole.
Right.
So it's not like it was unprompted, just badgering of the Commanders and Dan Snyder. That is a unbelievably poorly run organization with a criminal past over the last 15 years that the Washington Post is calling out. But it makes sense that the criminal in charge of that wouldn't want the person responsible for those stories then purchasing the team.
Yeah, he don't like that.
They're probably playing some sort of high-level game, would be my guess.
Cheskers.
Apparently, the Cheskers, the top offer to buy the Commanders, according to this report from NBC Sports Edge, just came in at $5.5 billion, which is short of the $6 billion cutoff and the $7 billion valuation for the team.
That'd be pretty
Both people are being stubborn at that point. If you have $5.5 billion to buy a team, you have $6 billion. And if you can afford to sell your team for $6 billion, if you have anything you can sell for $6 billion, you can sell it for $5.5 billion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't believe that extra $500,000 in a scale
500 million.
I'm telling you,
$500 million. Yes, sorry, my math was off. I can't imagine that. Like, it doesn't it doesn't take you to a different level of rich. Know what I mean? You're the same rich.
I'm sorry, dude, but you know what they say, dude. You don't make $100 billion just giving away $5.5 million. You know what I mean, or 500 million.
You guys can't. You guys are so bad at math this early.
It's the
I can't remember a single player.
The penny pinching ways is how you get that money in the first place, dude. These guys, they're not willing to just give away money all willy nilly.
The way I see this report is Dan Snyder trying to up the bids, right? Yeah. Him putting something out there that he might maintain ownership. It's him trying to create some emotion amongst the people bidding. That's all I read this as.
I'm with you. That's the most plausible solution, JL, and makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Or he had no intention of ever selling the team, and this has all been a
Aaron Rodgers
big old show.
Aaron Rodgers rug pull.
Exactly. I could see that being true as well, but yours is probably the more likely one. Speaking of NFL news, another NFL team, but we have not been alerted which one. Could be the Commanders. Proposed a rule to make roughing the passer reviewable this past weekend, which the majority of the conversation around this rule change centered around the difference between the slam and the sling. The slam being where you pick them up and then throw them to the ground, being the thing they want to be illegal. The sling being a continuation of the natural motion whenever you're going to the ground. Yeah, they don't want you to be able to shot put the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
they do want you to be able to bring them down to the ground. And making that reviewable, I think, would probably be a good thing. My only nervousness would be, is this going to be similar to the reviewable pass interference where they implement it and then not once during the entire year do they actually show their willingness to take the call back, and then they deem it a failure the next year and take it out of the rule book?
It's possible. This is one of those rules where there's not clear cut. Like there are clear descriptions of when the penalty happens and how it happens and when you should call it, but it's not so discrete that it's like one way or the other. Oh, this is clearly it's clearly a pass interference. This is clearly a whatever. It's clearly an offsides, right? That's a good example. But this is more similar to pass interference where it's a little not subjective, but you kind of have to take all of the situation into account when looking at it and make a decision. So I feel like this is going to lead to controversy regardless, but it's probably the right move.
Yeah. And I'm sure Tommy will remember. I see Tommy in the chat. That was the name of a bar in Miami, the Slam and the Sling.
The Slam and the Sling.
I'm sure Tommy will remember. A good example, if you want to see what a slam looks like, the Jim McMahon being tackled by Charles Martin from the Bears. So hit that injured Jim McMahon. It was very, very late, but you can see how the Charles Martin clearly was trying to drive him into the ground and and actually hurt him, where you can tell if somebody is just trying to get the guy to the ground or if they're trying to really punish him, so hopefully they can figure out a way to work it out. But I think a review is a step in the right direction because it's so hard to make that call and just stick by it. Whereas now you can go back and look at it and say, okay, you know what? Maybe this wasn't as malicious as we originally thought. So I think those are the exact ones that deserve a little extra thought. I think I know that they want it to be only black and white things to be reviewed, but it would be nice to be able to go back and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this wasn't as bad as I first saw it.
Yeah, especially something with such big implications. How many times have we seen a roughing the passer on 3rd and long all of a sudden extend a drive? Like, I feel like that's a near weekly occurrence that we see it happen to one team or another during the regular season. If they could review that, at least take that aspect out of the game or make it less frequent that a phantom roughing the passer determines outcomes, then I'm all about it.
Yeah, and the nature of a lot of those plays are they are game changing on both sides. Like a holding on the offensive line crushes your drive. 10-yard penalty is a killer. And same thing with these plays are automatic first downs. So I think all those things should definitely be under review if it's going to alter the course of the game that drastically.
Right.
You guys ready to get into some Weddle?
Yeah, let's knock it out.
Do you have something else? Any more news before we transition into maintaining our perfect Weddle streak?
No.
Hit everything I wanted to hit on.
Let's do it. Let's get into this. I believe I picked first last time we did this, guys, which means Coop, we're back to you. For everybody who has not played this with us before, head over to weddlegame.com. That is WEDDLE game, GAME.com. Let's play along with us. If you've ever played Wordle or Quordle or any of those related word games, it's a lot like that. But instead of guessing words, we're going to be guessing NFL players, getting a little bit of information each time. Oh, Tommy said I have to take a Weddle. Be right back.
Make sure you wipe.
A Weddle?
A Weddle.
Just take a Weddle and then come right back. Coop, you got the first guess here. What you rolling with?
Yeah, let's go with a wide receiver. I'm gonna try and go with somebody that's like right down as middle as possible.
Toby.
Mike Evans.
No, Mike Evans is because he's on the older side. I want someone that's like 27, 28.
Stephon Diggs.
6 foot or so. Diggs is 29.
He's 28.
No, he's 29. All right, go with Stephon Diggs then, just so we can prove that he's 29.
My age.
Stephon Diggs is 29, but his number is correct. So number 14.
Wow, look at that.
They're older than 29. They're taller than 6 foot,
29.
but close. Oh, they're much older than 29. So they're at least 32. They're taller than 6 foot. They're in the NFC, and they're not a wide receiver.
Okay, so if he's number 14, my guess is he's probably is not a tight end.
Sammy
It's probably a quarterback. No, it can't be a wide receiver either. I guess it'd be a quarterback in the NFC.
That's 32 or older, 6'1" or 6'2". So not the tallest quarterback, right? That's pretty normal height.
This is one that we should be able to get. If we're going to get one in 2 guesses, it would be this one.
And we know they're in the NFC. So a quarterback in the NFC that's taller than 6 foot is 32 years old or 31. How old is Dak?
Dak's number 4.
Yeah, you're right.
But he would fit that age range. So wait, 30.
Jalen Hurts.
It's got to be 32.
Just
Jalen
go
Hurts
through
isn't 32.
Too young. Yeah.
Daniel Jones.
Not 32.
Okay. Carson Wentz, Taylor Heineke, or Sam Howell.
Carson Wentz might be 32. He's too tall. That's a tall man.
Yeah.
49ers, Trey Lance, no. Brock Purdy, no. Jimmy Garoppolo.
We had Jimmy G the other day.
I don't remember what his number is.
Yeah.
Smith.
Tommy in the chat. Andy Dalton. Is it Dalton? What number is he?
I don't remember.
He's on the
Could be
Saints.
Dalton.
Get him in there.
You want to try Dalton?
The red riffle.
Him or Jameis.
Let's try Andy Dalton. It was Andy freaking Dalton, baby.
Nice.
Yeehaw!
Tommy out of nowhere.
He came in. He knew the number. He knew the red riffle was number 14.
New record, boys.
Andy Red Riffle.
We solved the puzzle. You guys want to try the hard one or no?
I think we have to today, dude. A new record day. Albert, what do
We
you
need
think?
a ruling from Dustin in the chat.
We're big boys now. We just decide to do the hard mode sometimes.
Let's go for it. We're in.
This could be trouble. The hard mode, if you don't know, guys, could be any player, special teams, defense, or offense. Same number of guesses. No, we get 10 guesses instead of 8. John Luke, where do you want to start us? Dustin gave us the seal of approval, said do it.
Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson.
I like it. Defensive
Aiden
lineman.
Hutchinson. Okay. On the correct side of the ball, Aiden Hutchinson is 6'7". Oh
Absurd.
my God.
He's a house, dude.
I would melt before he tackled me. Like, I'm not even scared that he would hurt me if he tackled me, because I think my body would not be able to handle the level of fear if that man was charging at me. 6'7".
Yeah.
I would just like corrode into a puddle of fear and urine.
Yeah, I think.
I don't want to derail us too bad, but I was at a bar watching the Maryland game yesterday with some friends and family, and the Bucks game came on after that, and I saw the man who is Brooke Lopez play basketball. Dear Lord, that man makes NBA players look tiny.
Right.
And they would just throw to him down in the paint every time, and he would just grab it and put it up. It was absurd.
He reminds me of one of like
7'1".
He reminds me of one of the Monstars from Space Jam. Like the really tall one with the big jaw. Like that's
like what an advantage that guy has. Dear Lord.
Yeah, Tommy mentions Boban. He says Boban, dude. This guy Boban Marjanovic. Even if you don't watch basketball, you might have seen this guy because he was in John Wick. I think the second one or the third one. He's a big guy. The big guy that fights with him in the library. That's Boban, dude. He
7'4" is how tall that man is. I just Googled it.
He's a big fella, dude. Yeah.
Good God. Okay, well, Aiden Hutchinson was our first guest. We know that this player is on the defense. They're shorter than 6'7", believe it or not. Older than 22. Their number is lower than 97, and they are in the AFC. So we've got an AFC defensive player that is older than 22 and shorter than 6'7". Really shorter than 6'5".
So the reality is it could be it's probably not a defensive lineman, but it could be pretty much anything. It could be a defensive back, linebacker. So I'm just going to throw out.
Who's a middle-aged secondary player, like a middle-aged corner, like not like crazy old, but like a 27, 28-year-old corner.
Xavier Howard?
All of them.
Xavier Howard?
Yeah, do X.
Let's get some Xavier Howard in there. Okay. Oh, and he's in the AFC. So we
knew that, though.
Yeah, we knew that one.
Oh, yeah, we did
AFC
know that.
East. Not in the AFC East. He's not a cornerback. He's 5'11" or shorter.
No, he's 5'11" or 6 foot.
Sorry, 5'11" or 5'12", aka 6 foot. And he's 30 or 31. And his number's over 25 or over 27.
Okay.
28.
So we're gonna need to look at linebackers here. Why don't we put in? Oh man, I immediately can only think of AFC East players. Why don't we think of? What if we put in? Why don't we put in Miles Jack from the Steelers?
Miles Jack, that's a good guess. Jill, you good with that?
Yep.
Okay, position is correct. Linebacker, but not in the AFC North. Not in the North or the East. Shorter than 6'1". The number is higher than 51, but close. And the age, we picked a player that was too young. So they're 52 or 53 is their number. So that makes sense with the linebacker call right there. So maybe we look at the West.
Or the South, obviously. It's got to be one of the other older linebackers in the AFC.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
How old is for the Colts? They have Darius Leonard, goes by Shaq Leonard now.
And he younger? He's not. He's not that old.
He's older. Really?
He's not much old. He's probably 25, 26.
Oh,
he's definitely not. He's not 30. Yeah, he's younger. He's just a rookie like 3 years ago.
I feel like he's already had 1 million tackles.
He had a crazy rookie year.
Some of the defensive players, I don't know if it's because they're like huge beasts out there, just like running through people, but they seem further in their careers than some of the offensive players earlier.
So
how old is Dre Greenlaw? The 49ers.
He's in the NFC.
Damn it.
So we know it's not AFC East or AFC North, so it's got to be AFC South or
West.
East.
Tommy's throwing out Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack is on the Chargers.
Nope, but AFC West is correct. Line age 30. So we know that they're 30, I believe, because it's young. Yeah. So they're exactly 30 years old. And we know that they're also, like JL said, 5'11 or 5'12.
Yeah.
And Tommy said Perryman is number 52.
Ooh, wait.
Denzel Perryman.
That's so could be Tommy's Raiders. Could be a big Tommy day.
Could
Get
be a
him in
big
there.
Tommy day. Tommy knowing his numbers. Being a Jersey guy probably helps out knowing the numbers. And it is Denzel Perryman.
Nice.
Tommy with the double solve in the chat
Oh.
today. We were just guiding Tommy.
Can we get some music for Tommy? Can we get some? Tommy deserves it. He is. Thank God he bailed us out there. This one goes to you, Tommy.
Oops.
Yeah, that's
Hit the
fine.
wrong one.
Well, on that note, you win nothing, Tommy.
Yeah.
Without the music,
Tommy.
nobody gets a prize.
Dude, that was huge though, because
Wow.
I would not have said Denzel Perryman for a long time, for a very long time. So
We got there.
I would have said it. Probably never. Not in 10 guesses, that's for sure. Guys, coming up, we got some games coming your way. We're going to share some of our unpopular opinions with you. We're going to answer some of Reddit's toughest questions for us, try to help them out a little bit today. I'm going to try to take Coop down in a game of feeling lucky punk. He was on a hot streak last week. And then we've got some superlatives that need to be given out. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Better Sports Network.
This may be the beginning of the end for the University of Kentucky men's basketball team and legendary head coach John Calipari. Now, I know that might sound a little bit extreme, and I definitely don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. But the University of Kentucky men's basketball team came into this season as the Associated Press's fourth-ranked team. They had the fifth shortest odds to win the NCAA tournament. In Joe Lombardi's latest bracketology, Kentucky is on the first four outline. Kentucky has conference losses this season to the University of South Carolina and the University of Georgia in basketball. And that just doesn't happen. Now, you may say, well, listen, everybody can have a down year. Everybody can have an off year. Well, that's not really been the case. Now, Kentucky hasn't won an NCAA tournament game since 2019. Now, things started off great. From 2010 to 2015, Kentucky made 5 Elite Eights and 4 Final Fours. They won the national championship in 2012. Since 2015, Kentucky has made 2 Elite Eights and 0 Final Fours. So what's going on? Well, the talent is still coming there. They're still producing top draft picks, but Kentucky just ain't Kentuckian. Coach Cal just ain't Coach Callen. The last time we saw the Wildcats playing an NCAA tournament game, they were a number 2 seed getting taken out by the 15th seeded St. Peter's team. That was just last year. Now they're in trouble of not making the NCAA tournament this year. Hey, Coach Cal, you may be needing to be looking for a new hardwood to call home, because I think your time in Kentucky is getting ready to come to an end. For more content like this and the latest in sports news and trends, download the Better Sports Network app.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to get into some unpopular opinions. Coop, did you come locked and loaded with some things that maybe some people aren't going to be happy about?
I mean, I pretty regularly have those opinions. So if you just check my Twitter at times at Coop Fiasco, you can find a good number of those. But I have one that's it's not a football one. It is a baseball one. This comes from an outside perspective. There are a lot of people, especially the baseball purists, which they're more than any sport. There are baseball purists that just do not want to see change. They don't want to see a DH in the NL. They don't want to see all these moves. I am not. I am a full Thomas Jefferson baseball fan in the sense of I am full on board with changing the rules to better the game. His whole quotes about not making an older man wear the coat that he wore as a boy. That's my style of changing the rules. So there are 2 new rule changes that people hate. Tommy mentioned one in the game. He mentioned one in the chat, which is they added a pitch clock. And if you get to the end of the clock, and there's certain things you have to meet, the pitcher has to be ready, the batter has to be in the box. If you don't hit that clock, they basically just call a ball or a strike. Where this week the Red Sox game, it was obviously a exhibition game, but the Red Sox game had a bases loaded full count situation where the player didn't get in the box in time, and the ump just called strike 3, and it ended the inning, and the game, basically changed the outcome of the game. I don't care. I don't care that it's not the way it used to be. These games take forever. A Yankees Red Sox game can take 4 hours. 4 hours. And these teams play 162 games. Are you serious? Like, no chance am I watching even one of those games unless you speed them up. So I'm fully on board with the 2 new rules, the pitch clock rule, and I'm not sure if you heard the other rule, Simon, but basically in extra innings, they just start a runner on second base. So if you get a hit, that's a run, right? So that is seriously going to speed up the pace of play. But I'm all for it. I want to watch more baseball, but I can't. Like, I like listening to it more than anything. I throw the app on and just listen to the games, but like, I can't watch these games the way they are. So I don't care about the old heads and the way it was done before. Make these games palatable. So sorry, baseball purists, you can eat it.
I think this probably is actually an unpopular opinion, but with myself and JL being here, I don't think you're talking to baseball purists, so you might not have as hard of a sale here as you will with like the general baseball populace. Maybe I'm speaking for JL. Now, that being said, I love the clock idea. Now, I thought you were going somewhere else with it whenever you first brought it up. I thought, and I got really excited that they were implementing like speed chess rules for pitchers, where like each team had a set number of time to get all of their pitches in. And if you ran out of time, then your team lost. Game over. Like when the clock hit 0 for your team, you were done. You know how like in speed chess, whenever you're done with your move, you hit it. And now the clock's running for the other person. If the clock stops or you get checkmated, then you lose. That was going to be in baseball. Like 9 innings end and you've got fewer runs or you run out of pitch clock, you're done.
If you just throw some really quick pitches earlier, you can bank up some of that clock.
100%.
That's how that works? Yeah. No, it's not quite like that. It's more like quit messing around to everybody involved, which for quite a long time, there were some guys that would on purpose take forever to rattle pitchers. So I'm all for it. Let's get this game going. Let's move it. Tommy,
in case you missed it,
Tommy says starting the guy on second base is stupid.
Coop's in favor of the 2 new rule changes, which apparently is an unpopular opinion among baseball fans. One of them being the pitch clock, and the other one being starting a runner on second in extra innings. But he's all about modernizing the game. Are you a baseball purist, or do you want some of these modern rule changes?
I'm okay with the rule changes, as long as they're made with thought and intention. Because I think any game can be improved based off of how people are playing it. I'm not really purist in any sense when it comes to sports.
Yeah,
but you're not just going to accept a rule change to accept a rule change. It still has to make sense. I get what you're saying.
And Earn Dog makes a good point that there are even more rule changes than that. Like some of them, everybody's kind of on board with. One, they made the bases bigger, so there were too many guys that were like, bang bang plays where guys were stepping on each other's hands and all that, or running into each other. So I think most people are on board with them making the bases a little bigger. But he points out another one. You can only do one pickoff. You can only throw it to first twice for pickoff attempts. So you can't just keep throwing over there, which I mean is going to lead to more steals. The bigger base is going to lead to more steals too, honestly. But those ones, I don't know. I feel like most people are on board with that. But I've seen some serious pushback for the clock and for the man starting on second.
I'm about it. I'm for it. The man starting on second, is the argument against it just why? Why are we doing that? And is the argument for it just it speeds up the game?
The pitch clock?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
the
the
man
runner
on
on
second.
second.
The man on second specifically.
Yeah, just because the basically like they want these games settled within a couple innings, and if it's a good if the game gets there at 0-0 or 1-1, those games oftentimes were just going to like 6, 7, 8, 9 innings, and it wasn't always about how long it was taking. It was that you use up all your bullpen arms, and it's affecting the next game. So like you go out and you have all these guys that are only built to pitch 1 inning at a time. They come out and they throw 97 miles an hour, and they're supposed to just be a 1 inning setup man. And if you use all those guys, now the very next night you got nobody to use. And last year you saw a number of games where teams were losing big, like going down by 5, 6 runs, and they would say, "Hey, you know what? We're not using up all our arms," and they would just take like a left fielder and throw him out there to throw meatballs, and then they would lose like 15-0 or whatever, and it was bad product they were putting on the field. Well, I feel like last year saw the biggest number of games where a position player was just out there throwing junk because they were just like, we're not going to use our relievers here. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to speed the game up and make it so you're not using your entire bullpen every game.
There we go. Now we got someone in the chat hating it. Tyson over here. What's up, Tyson? Good morning, my friend. He said these baseball rules are so dumb. See the game that ended due to the pitch clock violation. Can't wait until that determines the winner of the World Series. Coop did bring that game up earlier. And Coop, correct me if this quote is incorrect. I believe you said, and I quote, "I don't care."
I don't care. And I'll go as far as to say, Tyson, I'll go as far as to say that dude, that the guy Conley, I think it was, for I forget the exact situation. All I know is that he made a bad play because those are the rules now. So if you don't get in the box and a strike gets called and it affects the game, who made the bad play? Who didn't get in the box? That dude did, right? So I'll also add the Red Sox won that game because of that. So go Red Sox.
Coop, all of a sudden now Coop likes the new rules. That's what happened. The Red
Now
Sox
now
won
we're
a game.
now we're
because
getting to
of
the
it.
bottom of this. No, I'm just saying that it's like in the NFL, they made the horse collar tackle rule because Michael Vick broke his leg, because Terrell Owens broke his leg, because of that particular type of tackle. If you came out the next season and you made a horse collar tackle, guess what? You broke the rules. You weren't aware of the rules, and you broke the rules, and there was a penalty. This dude came out and broke the rules, and it cost his team the game, and all the fans should be disappointed with that player, not with the rule, because the rules are in place. So just how about you play the game the way the rules dictate, right? Like you can say it's on the player, you can say it's on coaching, but that's the rule. So what are you going to do?
I'm with you. You got to do it that way. Tyson, not a fan, but okay with the bases being bigger.
Yeah,
Bigger bases work out right there. That makes sense.
That's the other one. The big one, there's a ton of controversial rules. The other one is that they changed, like before you could just do like a big shift and say you had a left-handed hitter, you just move everybody over on the right side of the field. And, it hurt guys like David Ortiz and all those guys for years and years. They're basically saying you can't do that anymore. So Tyson makes a good point. If the guy can't hit it the other way, then don't pay him $200 million. Well, I guess now you can just pay that guy because they can't shift anymore.
They got it. Well, I got one to throw your way, guys, and this one may not come as a surprise to you, but I wanted to put into words how I felt about this. Like, what about this situation I think is okay? I think at any point while consuming something specifically for entertainment, a book, a movie, a TV show, I don't care if you're 1 page in, 1 episode in, you've got 2 minutes left in the movie, you're halfway through the season finale, you're in the middle of season 2.
If you say that you could start another one, I'm going to kill you.
Not only can you start another one, you can stop and should stop at any given time when you stop enjoying it. Because let me finish before you guys jump down my throats. This is unpopular opinion. So let me get my full piece out here because I see you guys chomping at the bit to destroy me for this one.
Yeah. We are.
Entertainment time, at least for me as I go further into adulthood, is so limited. I spend the rest of my day a lot of the times doing things that are difficult to do, hard to do, require drive, require effort to get through. Then whenever it comes to something that is purely meant for my entertainment, I want to maximize the amount of time spent enjoying it. I don't want to spend time working through something that I'm not liking to get to the part that I'm going to like. I just want to like it. And if I stop liking it, onto the thing I like, because I've got 30 minutes, baby. I'm not wasting it on this episode of something that's going to make me sad tonight.
Do you want to say it or do you want me to say it, Joe?
I don't know what you're going to say, so.
Simon, you
Say
already
whatever you want.
last time we did Unpopular Opinions, you did this exact opinion.
No, I didn't. I did that. You
No,
can read two
he did a
books at the
different
same
one.
time.
Yeah, he did.
Tommy-
It was different.
Tommy's saying-
that's why I asked the clarification question. Okay. I
Okay.
thought that he was going down that path, but it was a complete.
Tommy's saying the same thing. Simon on repeat. I thought it
Nope.
was the same exact one. So
No,
This is
he
about
clarified.
abandoning. This is about abandoning, not about being able to read more than one book at a time.
And I fully agree with this, Simon. I fully agree with your point. Actually, I don't. If it's unpopular, it's not unpopular with me because I agree with that. I think that art is meant to be consumed how you want it, how you want to consume it, in the same way that it's going to be created and exist whether you like it or not. So I think you got to choose. There's so many options to consume whatever, whether it's art, TV show, music. You only got so much time in the world. You can only consume so much. Consume what you want to consume.
Just the negative reaction I get from people when I say I've watched the first 4 episodes of Squid Games or I've seen a season and a half of Breaking Bad. Like
I also had the exact same experience with Squid Games. It was too much. It's a little too much stress for me.
I just get such like visceral, like, why'd you stop? You could, or like when I'm like, oh, I saw like most of White Lotus. Like I saw like an episode. People get upset.
When it comes to leisure, I mean, there are some exceptions. Like kids out there, if you've been assigned a book for homework, don't just be like, well, Simon said that if I don't want to read something, I don't gotta read it. Like in that case, you kind of do better.
Also, Nick in here said, going to make me sad tonight. Why does that feel like a shot at The Last of Us? Because on Saturday night, The Last of Us ruined my night with such a good episode.
Which
it
one?
was so good. Episode 3.
Yeah, I knew you'd like that one.
Oh man, it was beautiful. But
it was.
I just looked over and me and my girlfriend are just like bawling on the couch. Like, when did that happen?
Yeah. Last of Us too good. Last of Us is too good.
I gotta watch the show. I've actually watched someone play a playthrough of the game, so it's stay pretty true to the game.
I've never played the game, so I don't know.
Okay.
Or watched anyone play the game.
Well,
I just know the premise of it, but
if
shows
it's
my
anything,
first exposure to the
if it's
story.
anything like the game, I could see how that would be pretty sad.
Yeah,
I think it is. I think those characters that he's talking about are in the game.
Okay.
Keith
I
said it's
watched the
pretty true to
extras.
the game.
Yeah.
If it's true to the so Keith has played the game and watched the show. There you go. Yeah. So if it's true to the game, yeah, I could see why that would be pretty sad.
Yeah.
Apparently, I didn't watch it, but the Halo show that they made was very not true to the game. Like they took like the one thing about Master Chief and just like completely humanized him to make him a more like relatable character, but then it like wasn't Master Chief. It was just a guy that they called Master Chief. Like it didn't have like the air about him.
Careful
I didn't
now.
watch it, but that's like a
Careful
magical
now.
franchise. That's like a magical franchise for a lot of people. You got to be real careful with stuff like that. Don't change it too much. You're going to make people pretty upset.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that's always the hard part is that if you stick too close to the source material, it can be boring for everybody else. But if you go too far from the source material, you piss off the nerds. So it's a tough balance. I'm hearing so far The Last of Us got it right, but it is not easy. Like even the Harry Potter world, where they seemingly do a good job, I know
different from the
I know
books.
people that are very upset about it. You don't like it, JL? How different it is from the books?
I don't know. I don't dislike it. I think Harry Potter is one of the best examples of like, I think they nailed both mediums.
Yeah.
There are certain narrative choices I wish they hadn't have made that I could like they clearly made for the movies versus the books. Like for instance, Harry and Ginny, their whole like story, romance love story arc is entirely different in the book. Not entirely different, but like
It's different.
how they meet. And they don't meet in like the room of requirement, and kiss trying to hide Baltimore's book or whatever.
JL's like, I don't care. Here's a very specific example.
It's a very specific
I
example.
do care about. Yeah. But you're right though. It is. I do know a few people that are very staunch Harry Potter book fans that don't.
I think they did it well. I don't think you could fit all of that into the movies because they go in deep in the books. They go into like the giant wars and stuff and like Hermione's like what's it called, altruistic endeavors with like house elves and stuff.
Hermione was a
cover all
badass in the books.
Yeah.
That's my biggest problem with the movies. I agree with you, Jail. They nailed it, but like Hermione in the books was a
She like makes
badass.
real change, like real social change within
And
that
in the
society.
movies, they make her like a stuck-up, like goody two shoes, and in the book, she is not a goody two shoes. She's breaking the rules. She's altruistic. That's the way to describe it. She is not lawful good like she is in the movie. She's more like chaotic good.
But it's nuance. That's still nuance to me. They didn't completely ruin it. I thought they did a decent job in the movies too.
In the movie, she's very concerned with not only her homework, but everyone else doing their homework.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys. I guess I'm next. Unpopular opinion. I don't know if this is really that unpopular because I don't talk to many people about it, but it seems like it is. The Big Bang Theory is a bad show.
So here's what I think you hit on one of the most popular unpopular opinions here with the Big Bang Theory.
So it doesn't feel that unpopular.
Almost,
maybe it's just me.
It's unpopular to say that the Big Bang Theory is a good show. Like, I feel like if you say this sentence out loud in a room, you're going to get way more people going like, oh, I hate the Big Bang Theory. Than if you said the Big Bang Theory is my favorite show, you'd get a much more visceral reaction. But that could also just be the circles we operate in. Obviously, It's one of the most successful sitcoms of our lifetime. There's a large portion of the population that watches it every day. My father watches it every single day. Yeah, but I think they announced the last season, if I'm not mistaken.
The Last of Us.
Well, and there's a spinoff now. Young Sheldon was a spinoff of the Big Bang Theory. Like, it got its own spinoff show.
You come on here and say that you love Young Sheldon. That's an unpopular opinion. I know. The thing is, Big Bang Theory. My wife likes it, and I watched a bunch of it, and I think that it was fine. You know what I mean? I think I understand why people don't like it.
It's cringy.
It's cringy in that. Especially if you are like, it feels like it does too much like dunking on nerds and being like fake nerd culture. You know what I mean? And I get that, but
it's what jocks think nerds do when they're hanging out alone. You know what I mean? It's like what someone who's never like actually talked to someone who's read a book would think a nerd would do.
It's a caricature of a nerd. Yeah. All right, let me switch my. Since that's a little bit too mainstream, perhaps.
Oh, I wasn't requiring a switch. What you got
for us? Tyson's got a good one in the chat.
What about JL?
Do you see Tyson's in the chat? A real unpopular.
You're just gonna point it out.
The Office is not a good show and isn't that funny.
That's incorrect.
That's not an unpopular opinion. That's a fallacy to incite violence, is what you're doing right there, Tyson.
Yeah, that's dangerous talk.
My dad does agree with you. My dad hates The Office.
There are parts of The Office that.
My dad is The Office. That's his life. He is Michael Scott.
Oh no, not Michael Scott. At least it's not Dwight, dude. Dwight is the worst.
Dwight's the best. You'd probably know how to make beat medicine if White was your father. That's the best I could come up with in the last second. The most useful skill that man could teach you.
Medicine for beats.
Well, John Luke,
bye, Dre.
What do you got for us?
All right, I got a different one here. Divorce is not as bad as people make it seem to be.
Ooh, okay. Now we're talking unpopular opinion.
Think about it. What's your reaction? Like, what's the difference between someone who's dated someone for like, I don't know, say 10 years and never gotten married, but got divorced versus someone who got married, was only with someone for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, or you can even say the same amount, 10 years, and decided to get divorced later. It's a pretty big societal difference, right? Like how people view that. Oh, I'm divorced versus dated. What's the freaking difference?
Sacred religious bond. And part of it. Tax. There's a number of tax implications.
Right, but that's just a decision you made, right? I went and got my license. I didn't if I decide not to drive it ever again.
That's true.
Like I'm not going to be judged every time I do something.
And I don't think the public perception is necessarily changing because of that. Like the emotional perception of it isn't changing. Like you don't view a divorce as worse emotionally because your taxes are different. You know what I mean? Like that's annoying. Right. You have to figure that out, but that's not why the public perception of divorce is different because of the paperwork. No, it's because of the contention of it and the anger of it.
Say you said you were going to do something, like you said this was how something was going to turn out, and then it didn't turn out that way versus not saying that, but still acting along those ways is the only difference.
Well, Dustin says that has financial implications. Doesn't always, honestly, though. As JL points out, that like you can get married there are bigger parts of it though. Like I think there are bigger decisions that if you separate divorce entirely from it or marriage entirely from it, the bigger decisions are things like buying a house or having kids. In that instance, now there are bigger implications.
Now it's a little bit more complicated, right?
But
If that's the case. But even so, like if you meet someone and they're like, oh, they're twice divorced or 3 times divorced, people are going to judge you, that person, regardless. And I don't think it has to do with the house. I don't think it has to do with the financial implications. Like Simon's saying, it's like this idea that they're like there's a single scale of people who are, oh, this person was worth it, this person's not worth it, and it like lowers that because you're like, oh, these other 2 people didn't want that person or whatever. But that's not how it works.
Yeah. Keith says Louis C.K. pointing out that you shouldn't apologize to someone who gets divorced. Don't apologize to someone who is finally happy. That's an interesting point. And that actually goes to your point, JL, that what's worse, like breaking up if you have a longtime girlfriend that you have a kid with, breaking up with that person or getting divorced from somebody you don't have kids with. I would go as far as say that the divorce is without the kids is much more simple. Right.
100%.
It's a hot topic today, dude. That's hot pasta, bro.
In other countries, it's starting to become more common, and we're starting to see it here in the US. But I know, like in the Netherlands, where I have a lot of family, it's quite common to not get married ever. Know what I mean? You just live with your partner. You have a family. You have children. You can file to have your taxes filed together, but you're never officially married. There is no union. If you break up, you just break up. You're just done. Marriage isn't required for people to be cohabitants and partners. And I feel like we're starting to see that here, and that may lessen the intensity of divorce. Or what it could do is almost remove it from the conversation, except in religious contexts. You know what I mean? Like it could become something where like divorce is a religious thing, and those are the only people talking about it because it's not a divorce if you're not married originally, if we go down that path.
Yeah. It's a good point. And Dustin said, getting married is a commitment. It's like breaking a deal. If someone went bankrupt multiple times, you wouldn't consider going into business with them. But I feel like this is a common mistake in relation to this conversation, is that getting married is not going into business together, first of all. And if someone goes into business, keep going bankrupt, like that does, like most successful business people you meet have failed a ton of times. So like to act like getting married and succeeding at that is a win. You could just be sitting there in a marriage with someone who you're not compatible with. And then do you really win? No, you just hung on to your commitment that you made 20 plus years ago, whatever.
Damn,
you've changed.
bro.
Drop the episode before the season finale.
Yeah.
We had the same unpopular opinion, JL.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. I guess you're kind of right.
That's just about TV shows.
Nick said, while we're on the topic, I put a deposit on a wedding ring last week. Is this a sign?
Woo!
Let's go.
Congratulations, my friend.
Engagement ring.
Spoilers, bro.
None of us are cynical about marriage.
About
I think
marriage.
this is just
It's about society viewing divorce.
Exactly.
If it doesn't go well. Yeah. Listen, getting together with someone is like, and being like a right match is so mathematically improbable. Like it takes work, right? So you got to put in that time, and it's okay if it doesn't work out.
Hey Nick, before you put that
Not
ring
Nick
on one
specifically,
before you put that ring on one person's finger, remember the odds that she's the right person for you are mathematically improbable.
Impossible.
Infinitesimally small. Good luck, buddy. Hope she says yes.
And Tim's in jail, really hedging his bets before his wedding.
For real.
Yeah, clip it.
Maria watches this one. You know, divorce isn't that
Divorce
bad.
isn't so bad.
Hey, why don't you just get into lab-grown diamonds too, JL, while you're checking all the boxes off here?
I'm all about lab-grown diamonds. Let's go.
There you go. See?
Yeah, Coop's all about that blood diamond life. Kids, doesn't bother him.
Here's the secret: have so little money that the expectation is a ring pop, and then you don't have to worry about diamonds at all.
Classic.
Or child exploitation.
Yeah, there you go. You don't have to worry about diamonds or child exploitation. Guys, coming up, we've got some more games coming your way. We're going to give out some superlatives, play around a feeling lucky punk, and then we're going to answer some of Reddit's toughest questions. If you're enjoying what we're doing over here, you should head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss out on any of the stuff we're putting out. We've got the morning show every single day, but then on Tuesdays, we've got the game show. We're putting out clips and shorts at all times, so you don't want to miss that. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Better Sports Network.
Baby J just wrote in the chat as we went to break that Nick Sirianni is the most punchable face in the NFL.
I think
I don't see it.
Well, yeah, I think people are bothered, and you saw the Giants bothered by the fact of how he was acting and his antics. And I'm growing a little tired of Kayvon Thibodeau on social media. Everybody
he's bothering me a little bit.
Well, everybody that criticizes Kayvon Thibodeau, he basically tells you, I don't know who you are, whether it be Jeff Saturday or whether it be Joe Staley.
Yeah.
Julian Love last week going on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network and saying Sirianni's in for a free ride. Just look how talented that team is. Well, I mean, I think it's a little unfair. If you're a Giant or you're a member or you are a fan of the Giants, you went in there on that Saturday night and you got embarrassed.
Doesn't it feel like sour grapes, right? Like it just feels like you guys beat me up, so now I'm just going to try to find a way to beat you down.
So, and if you're Kayvon Thibodeau, enough, shut up. I mean, you're on social media. Enough with the fact that anybody that rips you or criticizes you or going out there and saying or ripping the 49ers who didn't have a quarterback in the NFC Championship game and saying, well, we could have done a better job than what San Francisco is doing. Well, they didn't have a quarterback. And then Joe Staley calls them out. And then I got to have Michael Strahan tag teaming and jumping in and ripping Joe Staley. The fact that Michael Strahan got 2.5 sacks on him during his rookie year, where Joe Staley was critical of what Kayvon Thibodeau did this year. I mean, are we serious here?
Yeah, that's what we're doing here.
I mean, this is really what it's coming down to. I mean, why not hold the young man accountable and say, no, listen, zip it, enough. Like you don't need to comment on everything, nor do I care. Yeah. You're not Micah Parsons. You're not Lawrence Taylor. You're none of those.
But
things.
He thinks he is.
Well, but that's the problem. He's not.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not. And I would say he has a long way to go.
And maybe he becomes one of the best. He could.
I mean, it's possible. Do I think he's ever going to be Micah Parsons? I don't.
I don't. He's talented.
He's talented. I'm not telling you he's not going to have a successful NFL career. But everybody that criticizes him, he says, I don't know who you are. Well, why don't you look up and have for the men that played in this league before you and what they accomplished in this league? That the league didn't start the day that you stepped foot in the National Football League. And sometimes there's reasons why people are going to go out there. And if you're going to make comments as stupid as he did in the NFC Championship game, you understand that you're going to get called out for it. And if you get called out for being dopey, don't all of a sudden respond with, I don't know who you are.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We're about to get into some superlatives. So start thinking of players' names and then throw them out the window because you don't know the categories yet of what you're going to be naming a player to. I was about to say get those names ready, start thinking of them ahead of time. Then I realized it would just be like thinking of names.
Right.
It could
not be.
I'm going to ask you. It's be like I'm going to ask you a trivia question. Start thinking of some answers.
I got it.
You got it?
Is it Cindric Steptoe?
Oh, shoot. How'd you know that? I guess it is Monday.
I just knew you were going to ask about an obscure Jets wide receiver from 2012 or so that is the fourth of his family.
That's exactly where I was going. Guys, if you have not been here with us before for superlatives, how this works is it's a lot like your high school yearbook superlatives. We're going to bring up a superlative, something like most likely to succeed or most likely to be president. And we are all going to nominate a player, coach, someone around the league, the NFL, that we think should win this award. We'll then throw it in the chat for you guys to vote on who you think the winner should be. And we'll award a couple superlatives today.
All right.
Indeed, indeed. Now our first superlative, fellas. Least likely to make it into the Hall of Fame.
Least likely to make it into the Hall of Fame. I've got my nomination ready.
All right. Play it on us.
The most memorable thing that this player has done and will ever do in the league is getting hit in the head by another player, and that is Mason Rudolph. I nominate Mason Rudolph as the least likely to make it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's a good one.
The thing is, though,
actually, you know what? But the picture of the bonk could make it in there, but it would say Myles Garrett. I don't consider that making it.
That's the problem. When you do go to the Hall of Fame, there is that like walk of like cool pictures. And what's so funny is that like I'm going through those pictures and I'm like, wait a second, that's my boy right there. Like one of like the fifth picture in is a picture of two guys walking down the tunnel in Chiefs Stadium. One being the legendary Patrick Mahomes, the other being the legendary Anthony Sherman, a fullback that I played high school ball with. So I'm sitting there texting my buddies. I'm like, look, Sherman's in the Hall of Fame.
That's
so
awesome.
you gotta be careful with those. I've got my nominee here. I'm gonna go with Tommy will like this one. How about Jamarcus Russell? Jamarcus Russell, the #1 overall pick. Not only did he completely bust in terms of ability, but reportedly wasn't even interested enough to watch the film they gave him. They actually gave him a blank DVD at one point because they knew he wasn't watching film. And they said, hey, here you go. Why don't you watch film? And he showed up the next day and he was like, and they were like, what'd you think? He was like, oh, that was something. Right. And they were just like,
it was me getting called on to answer the question about the book we read like sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, it sure was, dude. You know, like he didn't even have the cliff notes, man. So yeah, Jamarcus Russell is probably the least likely dude to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Jamarcus Russell, I like that one. My nomination is gonna be a man who broke my heart. Rashad Penny, first round running back, Seattle Seahawks. Least likely to make it to the Hall of Fame. If he does, I will be very angry, very upset.
He's still in the league. That's why I'm like, well, maybe.
You're gonna pick someone not in the league? I guess that, like 100% least likely to.
I think
he's no longer in the league, right? He's like what, 40?
He's
45,
quite a bit. Yeah. Tommy says Darnell Mooney. Now we're just trying to hurt each other's feelings.
I feel like Jamarcus Russell already didn't make it into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Know what I mean? Rashad Penny is he's less likely to make it because Jamarcus Russell already done that. Like he's already not in there. They're not going in and adding a 40-year-old player like Elvis Presley. We got three very different answers here. And Dustin said jail about to throw Kirk Cousins under the bus.
The thing is, though, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if there was somewhere like a picture of Elvis Presley in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you're probably right. Or a bust with just like from like way in the early days where someone just looked like Elvis, like when that hairstyle was popular.
I imagine that most of the dudes did.
Everyone looked like Elvis. Now they're just trying to piss us off in the chat. Tommy said Darnell Mooney. Dustin said Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. Nice. Anyone want to nominate Travis Etienne or Christian Wilkins?
Perfect, Dexter Lawrence.
Darren Waller, anyone? Lamar Jackson? Want to just name our favorite players?
If this is a competition, I'll throw Dabo Sweeney in there. I guess. Probably pretty unlikely to make it to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, man, please never try your hand in the NFL, Dabo. I do not think it would go well.
I guess as a coach, he could come back and make it in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I really don't think so. I don't think his skill.
I don't think he could do it. I'm just saying I think that's a possibility. Whereas I was answering it as if like 0% chance he's going to make it in as a player.
If I wanted to win this poll picking a Clemson player, there's another player I would pick.
Oh, Clemson player, probably.
It's quarterback.
Oh. Yeah. That checks out. Probably not making the Hall of Fame.
Probably not winning.
Tommy said Hunter Renfrow. No, the prompt wasn't most likely to make the Hall of Fame, Tommy.
Yeah, most likely to not, least likely to make it into the Hall of Fame, Tommy. Yeah. Come on.
Hunter Renfrow is already on the trajectory. He had that one wide receiver one season.
All right, guys. Our next superlative here: most penalized player next season. Which player is going to be the most penalized player next season?
Hmm.
And by the way, I threw this the last.
Do they have
who's
to be
least likely to make it into the Hall of Fame in the FYF chat? There's a poll in there. You can vote, determine who is going to win this superlative award.
Do they have to be NFL players?
No, go for it, Coop.
I was gonna go with the low hanging fruit and just pick like Brad Marchand. I think he might be the most penalized NHL player all time. You know who Brad Marchand is, right?
No.
Yeah, totally.
You guys,
Brad. Brad.
Come on, you guys don't know who Brad Marchand is?
I know the name, but I don't know enough. I don't know enough about him to recognize that he's the most penalized player in the league.
He's the best, dude.
Great.
I'm actually picking him as my player. Just see if the chat knows anything about this guy. Brad Marchand is like his nickname is the Rat. Like he even like accepts that his nickname is the Rat, dude. Or his other nickname is the Nose Face Killer. But this guy is known for seriously illegal moves, but also moves that get him penalized and fined that are funny. So he does this thing that is not funny called a slew foot. And basically that's in hockey when you're just like on your skates and somebody sweeps in with their leg from behind and makes you fall back, like fall onto your back. That's a slew foot, which is super illegal. He's also known for going low when you try and hit him, which is crazy illegal. And he's done some high sticking, some spearing, but he has done a bunch of funny things in the course of his shenanigans. One thing he likes to do is put his fingers in other people's mouth. Another thing that he once did was he was face to face with these guys.
I read that tip in Cosmo. He must have had the same issue as me.
He's had multiple incidents where he's been face to face or next to a guy, and he either kissed that dude or licked that dude on the face.
Now I know for sure he had the same issue of Cosmo as me.
The licking, yeah. The licking is
fingers in the mouth, going for the lick. Yeah, that's the classic 1-2
yes,
point.
dude. And he's been
November issue
fined and suspended for licking other players. Dude. That's Brad Marchand, absolutely my pick for most likely to get to lead the league in penalties.
That's disgusting.
Dustin liking the hockey talk.
I've got one, and it's also going to be a non-traditional nomination here. You guys, let me know if this is okay. I would like to say, insert generic third day offensive line rookie that wasn't expected to start. There's always a third day rookie that gets thrown into a starting job, and they are going to hold all season as they're put in over their head. So I would just like unexpected third day rookie starting lineman as my nomination here.
I'm gonna stop you here, Simon.
Okay.
And I'm gonna throw out a flag because I think that's too many options. The superlative game, I don't think we've had a mechanic here to handle multiple options, and I think this would have to fall into that umbrella.
You know what? You're right. This could break it. I think it's a good answer, but I'll accept that this could.
I think it's a good answer too. So
if you got one, go ahead and let me think of a fill in here.
All right, most penalized player in the NFL next year,
or any sport,
or I guess yes. In the case of Coop, any sport.
Well, you could do any sport as well.
I'll choose. Oh,
you could do Kyle Busch.
Is Vontaze Burfict still in the league?
Oh my God, I think he's. I think he wants.
I'll go with Bradley Chubb.
Yeah.
I think Bradley Chubb's going to be a menace next year.
Yeah, he's a pop. Oh, I just thought of another good one.
And
if
it is in fact
event for the Dolphins, by the way,
a defensive player is more fun for this to be the award than an offensive lineman, because then we're just talking hold. But defensive player, it's maybe they're getting a little too ahead of themselves with some of these tackles out there. They're jumping across the line of scrimmage, getting a little early. It can be more fun that way. I think I'm going to go a slightly different route here. I think this Rams team is falling apart, like we talked about earlier. There's a good chance that they ship off Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and it goes into full rebuild mode. Sean McVay doesn't necessarily know how that feels 2 years in a row. And emotions are going to get the best of him. And he is going to become not only the most penalized coach in the league, but the most penalized person in the league as he continuously runs out on the field and berates the refs.
Ooh, I like that, dude. The McVay frustration tour.
100%. That's what's going on next year.
Yeah.
I like that one, Simon. So Coop going with some hockey player named Brad Marshmallow. I'm going with Bradley Chubb. Wow, Brad. The Brad connection.
The Brad
Bradley
squad,
Chubb,
dude.
defensive end for the Miami Dolphins.
And
And
he's
Simon's
doing
going with
Brad
Sean
Mc-
McVay.
Brad McVay.
Sean Brad McVay.
Also, Tommy said he would fight us for not knowing who Brad Marchand is.
I think that's crazy, dude. I think that's crazy guys to know who he is, because not only is he a troublemaker, but he also is usually at or around top 10 in the league in points, which in hockey, points is goals plus assists. So he's actually a very good hockey player as well. Like this year, he's probably in that neighborhood, top 10, 15.
I tried to look up his name by typing in Brad Marsh, who turns out to be another hockey player.
There's just Brad Marsh, Brad Marchand,
All
Brad Marchand. Brad
right.
Marshoff.
That poll is in the chat. Well done, guys. Well done. Our next superlative is most likely to go on The Masked Singer.
Ooh.
Which player is most likely to
I got
go
my choice. And I've actually been thinking about this player since earlier in the show.
I thought you were going to say I've actually been thinking about this question a lot.
I've been thinking about this question all the time. No, I've been thinking about this player since early in the show. In fact, when you said think of a random player, this is the first player I thought of because I had been thinking about him earlier. When you talked about singing the Halo theme, I think I've actually seen a clip of this guy singing the Halo theme because he is an actual trained like opera singer. And it's Baltimore Ravens kicker Justin Tucker as a legitimate, classically trained opera singer. Ooh, what you got there? That is
Justin Tucker signed mini helmet.
Mini helmet. He's such a Hall of Fame lock. It's absurd. Is he? Did he pass the all-time points list yet, or is it still
Vinatieri?
Morton Anderson, or is it
Morton
Vinatieri?
Anderson? It might be Anderson still. Morton and Gary Anderson.
I think those they were the top last I checked, but no, Vinatieri is the top. I think at the end of the day, Tucker has a chance to get up there. But yeah, he's my pick for The Masked Singer. Beautiful voice. And I think people might be able to get that one. I really don't understand the mechanics. I haven't really watched a ton of it, but I don't understand the mechanics of The Masked Singer. Like, how the hell are you going to know it's Rudy Giuliani?
So they give little clues. Like they'll like say something like speaking in riddles. Think like an oracle from Greek myth where like they give you the answer, but it's never quite clear how they say it to you. But then take that down about 100 like riddle levels and it'll just be like, don't be Rudy to me if you don't like my attitude. Giuliani is my last name. And then they'll just like pretend like it's a secret and try to figure out who it is. It's an awful show. Sorry. But I understand why people watch it because every time I've sat down and been like, oh, I just want to see 5 seconds of it, I end up watching the whole episode because it's like, I wonder who it is.
That's a classic, dude.
They suck you in. I got my answer. And the proximity to your answer, Coop, made me a little bit nervous, but I just feel like he fits the profile exactly of the kind of player who should be doing this. Someone who's like still in their prime and competing probably isn't going to want to take the time to go record The Masked Singer. Like people that have been on it before. We saw Antonio Brown on it. He wasn't too busy. We've seen, I'm forgetting other NFL players that have gone on there before. Terry Bradshaw's gone on. Talk about being out of the game for a little while, right? So we've got these kind of celebrities that appear on The Masked Singer. A quarterback who's won a Super Bowl, won an MVP, is near the end of his career, may not be on the same team next year and could have some of that time looking for a transition into entertainment. Is former Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco of the Baltimore Ravens and New York Jets. He is just interesting enough that people know who he is, but not so interesting that they can't land him on The Masked Singer. Like he'll be hidden. He's not this crazy imposing figure either, where it's going to be clear like that's the largest man I've ever seen. It's very clearly a mega athlete. I think they can hide him a little bit in that costume.
Now, can he sing?
I'm I don't think Terry Bradshaw can sing, and he lasted a while.
That's a good point. I can't imagine if he what if he's just an amazing singer.
I'm not sure how important being a good singer is. In fact, it might be a detriment, because if you're a good singer, maybe people can figure out your voice easier whenever they're listening to it.
That's
You notice
Mariah
those
Carey.
trends. Exactly. Like, I'd be a lot more likely to recognize Mariah Carey singing than Terry Bradshaw singing. I'd probably be like, who the hell is this person singing?
Yeah, so Terry Bradshaw has his own like country album apparently.
That's not that surprising.
Yo,
it's not like the most surprising fact.
Quick detour. Have you seen Chance the Rapper sing "Hot in Here" by Nelly as a country rock song on Jimmy Fallon?
No.
Look it up right after this show. Chance the Rapper is just so unbelievably talented that he was like he started singing that. And I'm like, I had no idea I needed a country rock version of "Hot in Here," but here we are. Like, I need this recorded by Chance tomorrow.
We should have him do. We should have him do like a whole album of rap songs.
Chance,
country ones. Yeah, like have him go up and do like "Soldier Boy up in this hole. You watch me crank 'em, watch me roll." You know, like you do like the whole.
Hey, Coop, I'm gonna be for anybody listening. Don't let that scare you off of what Chance did. He executed a little higher level.
Way better, yeah.
I thought that was pretty clean. Dude.
Coop went like full on like hoedown, not like country rock. He was like, swing your partner round and round, nose down, and knock her down.
He just went straight Texas square dancing.
Run the tape on that. I thought that was pretty fire.
All right, for my I don't even remember the superlative we were doing. It was most likely to go on the Masked Singer. I'm gonna go with Jason Kelce. Jason Kelce, center for the Philadelphia Eagles.
So hot
Kels, as we learned.
He's a free agent now, and I don't know. He was close to retiring last year, then he ran it back. Do you guys think he's coming back, or do you think he's got plenty of time for the Masked Singer now?
Well, now Jail's put it in my mind. That makes perfect. Retire straight into the Masked Singer. It's like a pipeline that the Masked Singer loves. Let's look for the retiring stars and then get them on our show.
Do they really have set up an amazing, because it's like anonymous, they can just start rumors about whoever, like Tom Brady. There was a Tom Brady Masked Singer rumors. Like you can literally start rumors about whoever you want because it's so anonymous.
So Dustin in here said Bradshaw was nominated for a Grammy for Best Male Country Vocal Performance. There is no way I'm believing that.
I believe that 100%. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't just be pulling Joe Flacco and be like, oh, I bet he could sing.
I accidentally put myself into the poll. Justin Tucker, Joe Flacco, JL Garofalo.
You're going to win that easily, dude. Everyone's definitely going to vote
I fixed it, but I just wasn't thinking to type my own name.
This guy had a top 10 country hit with a cover of a Hank Williams song, 2 top-selling gospel records. Terry Bradshaw, what the hell?
Gospel records?
So, did you know Jason Kelce can sing?
Yeah, he did the Christmas album.
Dude, he did.
Him and
apparently he did the national anthem before a Sixers game too.
Yeah,
that's no tough, doubt. Man. The national anthem is not an easy one.
That's a tough song. Oh man, JL, I kind of want to vote for yours over mine. I'm digging. I can see him doing that. He'd be so goofy up there.
And he's like, it feels like newer to the media game that he would completely book that. And like some publicists would try and take advantage of the latest, just like Travis, Jason hype.
I feel like Justin Tucker is like he'd think he's like too big. He's like too pretentious for that. He's above.
I don't know, man. He does these Royal Farms commercials. His Royal Farms is like a gas station around here in Baltimore. Very faint. Like people love their chicken. They have like fried chicken or whatever that is their main calling card or whatever. And he's on those commercials, and they're not the best quality like produced. So I don't think he's too big for his britches. He's also a kicker. So.
Dude, Royal Farms, I'm looking at it now, looks just like my favorite gas station up here, Cumberland Farms.
I've been to Cumberland Farms gas station before.
That's my favorite restaurant. But I wouldn't be surprised if these guys are all owned by the same people now that I look at your Royal Farms. But dude, that chicken sandwich looks fire, bro. Oh,
yeah, just Tucker, big Royal Farms
bucket of fried chicken there. Now you're talking the language.
I mean, I wouldn't, but you could, yeah. All right, guys. That poll is up in the chat. You guys ready to do one more superlative?
I am ready.
Big Pharma.
All right. Big Pharma. Which player
With an F.
Which player is the player most likely to DJ a bar mitzvah or
Most
bat
likely.
mitzvah?
Oh my
So we need someone who like probably not a DJ that's like selling out arenas. Know what I mean? So like this isn't the person that's throwing together like a sick house show and like going out. This is like the person who's ready to play like some ABBA for a bunch of 13-year-olds and try to get the crowd pumped on the electric slide is what we're trying to figure out here.
Right.
I'll
I'm
go
trying to
first on
think.
this one.
Now I
You
can't
got it,
remember.
Jay?
At my nomination, I'm gonna nominate George Kittle.
Yeah.
Because George Kittle, it feels like it does not matter the age group of the party, the demographic. He is going to be the life of the party, and he is going to get 100% hype no matter what. Whether you're playing Wheels on the Bus or it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes and fitty. It's got to be George Kittle.
Yeah, he's got it locked. I was trying to think who was the quarterback we had the other day that would commandeer the music.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning, dude. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the Ox.
I don't know if it's cheating to pick Peyton Manning, but I'm picking him, dude. Peyton Manning. Just imagine that big goon with his like massive forehead and just like doing this whole thing, like like this, just like.
He has headphone extenders because the normal ones will.
Like
The second one is just resting on top of his head. Like, so it's like stretched out and it's just like an L, like with like plastic's about to break.
Those headphones are working.
And I just picture him like, just like doing it. And then just like he points over, right? And then like the camera like looks over and it's just some like girl standing next to the punch bowl and she's like,
It's a silent
and
DJ.
he's just like, yeah.
He only does silent DJ parties.
Silent DJ parties are tight. I will say. It's the funniest thing when you first walk into a silent DJ party. It's the best, bro. It's the best when you see everybody just like.
So dumb.
I saw a video the other day of a Taylor Swift bar crawl where it was like a silent disco, but everybody had headphones on and it was around a city and they all just had like a common source playing the music. So now there's just a sea of like 300 people walking down a sidewalk with no music playing, chanting in sync all the words to Taylor Swift, walking down a city street. That would make me cross to the other side. Like I would be terrified watching that show up.
What city?
I forget where it was. I avoided that and just ran away, but maybe we should look it up in case it's coming to a city near you.
They wouldn't tolerate that in Boston. They would have the hoses out and just they would just spray them down. They would shut that down.
All right,
I've got
Sam,
my
who are you
answer here.
nominating?
I'm going with someone who's gonna have a little bit more time now. They had their time in the spotlight, got their excitement early in their NFL career, but when push comes to shove, they're a 7th round rookie who was the 3rd string quarterback who just happened to get some playing time. Trey Lance is coming to take over the starting job. Brock Purdy is going to start doing bar mitzvahs. DJ Big Balls getting out there just tearing it up at all of these parties.
I mean, dude, with the swag this kid has, I have no doubt that he could crush.
Right?
Dude, why can't it be a George Kittle, Brock Purdy joint DJ party?
Yeah.
Because isn't Kittle on Team Purdy?
He is.
When it comes
Kittle
to
loves Purdy.
Lance or first Purdy, yeah.
I can see it. Tommy says Cole Beasley. he just plays his own rap album
over and over again.
We're gonna play 80 Stings again for anyone that missed it the first time. Really listen this time, okay, guys?
He has his album cover up behind him.
He's wearing the same outfit as in the album cover, and he tries to like recreate it during song.
There's mirrors everywhere.
Yes,
Swifties. It's DeAndre Swift, but just doing Taylor Swift.
That'd be pretty good, actually. I'd watch the hell out of that. So that the last poll, who's most likely to go on Masked Singer? Justin Tucker won 60% of the vote, 40% to Jason Kelsey. And the last poll here is now live. Who is the player most likely to DJ a bar or bat mitzvah? George Kittle, Brock Purdy, or Peyton Manning? Throw your votes in the chat. See who wins.
You know what? I think that must have been our best. That prompt might have been our best work nominations wise yet, because all 3 of those I see DJing bar mitzvahs. I can see each one of them.
Yeah.
I can like feel the party for each one of them, like what the vibes are. They're different, but I'm not mad about any of them.
You know, we did a good job on this particular one because I just tried to picture them all doing like an actual nightclub, and I can't really picture it. But I can picture the bar mitzvah, like the lights are on, you know, like
You're wearing
like
the shirt and tie.
a gymnasium, or it's like the VFW. Yeah, shirt and tie. Shirt
Big
like
fat tie.
tucked in, but it's not like the fat short tie.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was picturing for Kittle. Like off center, one of the things are like sticking
His is
apart. His shirt's
considerably
half
shorter.
tucked in. Yeah, it's
Short sleeve button down.
half tucked in, the other half dangling out. Pants so wrinkly.
We could have
So
really,
wrinkly.
we could have skipped that whole thing and just say that he's dressed like a guidance counselor.
Guys, coming up, we've got some more games coming your way. We're going to play some Feeling Lucky Punk and then help Reddit out answering some of their toughest questions. Right now, you're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy with Simon, JL, and Coop.
Sell me on doing away with the 2-conference system in the NFL.
Is it really a sale whenever this is something that's commonly agreed upon? I'm selling you on water being wet. I'm selling you on something that is objectively true right here. We look at teams at the end of the season and we go, how the hell does one team have such an easy schedule while another team is just absolutely getting obliterated? And that's because of the 2-conference system, because the division system feeds into this conference system. It's a symptom of the greater problem. Like these divisional matchups, you're telling me it's fair that the Buccaneers are in the playoffs after playing the Panthers twice, the Falcons twice, and the Saints twice this year? That is unbelievable. There are multiple more deserving teams every single year that because of this system where we silo them into random groups, it determines the order. And yes, originally this was geography based, right? We had these divisions, they were geography. It's 2023, my dudes. Geography doesn't matter whenever it comes to the size of the United States. These teams can travel anywhere. They don't need to geographically locate them in divisions or conferences to make the games make more sense. If USC can be in the Big Ten, why the hell can't Miami play San Francisco every year? It can happen. They've got more money than these colleges and they're not taking classes. All it does is create an ecosystem where less talented teams can get rewarded for playing in weaker divisions and more talented teams are punished for continuing to improve.
Damn, bro.
Drop the mic.
I like to picture some geography teacher out there just threw a pen on the ground. He was like, how dare you? He smacked the globe. He was like, what do you
all
mean?
the hard work we've done.
2023 geography doesn't matter, right? Smacks his
You know
globe.
how long it took for us to get respect?
Globe goes spinning around, right? Geography doesn't matter. How dare
I'm
you?
just imagining they ripped on the world map and underneath is algebra 2. Like they just go straight into being a math teacher.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Paper straws. Oh, they're so bad. Ray, I mean, I'm almost tempted to say screw Mother Earth. Give me a real straw. The paper straw thing is a step too far in saving the planet for me.
Great idea. The problem is it has to last. Like it can't go mushy halfway through my drink.
That's
And
the
I think
problem.
That's the problem. They have a hard time standing up if you don't drink that.
100%. That's my issue, Ray. I'm all for taking care of the only planet we got. But Ray, some people like to drive a lot. I don't. I don't get on them for they have to drive 20 minutes to work every day. Can I just get a plastic straw? Like, I think, Ray, we should be able to pay for a card that says, I don't drive every day, so they said I could have this kind of environmental impact by getting a plastic straw. I am in favor, Ray, of government-issued plastic straws if I have the proof that I'm worthy of such a thing. If you want it, you get it. It's kind of like the Clear Pass. You know,
Yeah,
the
there you go.
airport.
Okay.
Like, Ray, I'd be willing to pay an extra $2 a year, and I get as many plastic straws as I want when I go out to the restaurant.
And the $2 goes toward cleaning the oceans or something. So,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. That's not a terrible idea. Not terrible.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. See Tommy in the chat saying, love that take, Simon. And I have no idea what he's talking about because that came in during the break. Did I have a take during the break?
It's the
You tell us.
conferences one, the geography thing. Yeah.
I know. I came back and put my headphones in, and Coop's going, "It's 2023. Geography doesn't matter." And then, like, that's just the first thing that I hear. It's like Coop screaming.
I think if you had such a good take, and then me and JL just globbed onto the part where you said geography doesn't matter, which was such a small part of the take, but that's also what we do on the show.
Beautiful. Well, guys, we're about to get into a game we call Feeling Lucky Punk. Well, are you, Coop?
I mean, I've been pretty lucky I've been getting either blown out in these games or I'm winning pretty handily. So I'm the Ricky Bobby of these games right now. So I either need to get lucky or I'm in big trouble.
Well, here's how this game works. Coop and I are going to be competing in a game of intellectual chicken with JL being the chicken wrangler. We're going to bid on a series of challenges that JL places in front of us. Maybe a number of things that we think we can name. Maybe a specific action that we have to do a certain number of. I could say I can do it 5 times. Coop may say 6. Whoever bids the highest then has to prove it. Do it the amount you said you were going to, you're going to get all those points. But fail even once in the process to get to that number, your opponent will steal each and every one of those points from you. Now, once you reach your limit, you can decide to press your luck if you want to keep going for double points. But get it wrong, and it will still go to your opponent. So press your luck at your own risk. We'll go like this back and forth until we run out of prompts, at which point the person with the most points stored up is our Feeling Lucky Punk champion on this Monday, February 27th, 2023.
Feeling lucky, Punk.
No.
This game is the one that's most susceptible to blowouts as well. So,
yeah,
and I think I'm the host most susceptible to blowouts.
Yeah.
Depending on your definition of blowout.
I think you are. I think that is also true. All right, guys, let's get into our first prompt here.
I meant like if I had Taco Bell, just so we're clear.
Yeah, that was clear.
Okay, cool.
So we got it. We got it for sure.
You.
We were trying not to think about it, but appreciate you.
But you brought it back, and now we're
sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
All right, guys, our first prompt here. How many of the 7 most recent NFL stadiums can you name?
That were like in terms of being built?
Yeah. 7 most recently built NFL stadiums. Can you name?
Who's first to go?
Coop, you are bidding first in this one.
Is the city or team name enough, or do I need to be able to say the stadium name itself?
Team name's probably good, bro.
Team name is probably fine. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to check before Coop bid out there.
Okay, 1.
Simon, would you like to counterbid?
3.
3 from Simon.
So that's such a smart move by you, because 3 is the number that I was willing to go to.
I figured.
But maybe I'm willing to go higher. I will go, what the heck? It's a game, isn't it? 4.
4. Simon.
I want to play, but I think the smart move. How many can I name? I've got 3, I feel like, so I'm going to call it. I'm going to say, Coop, go for it. Try to name 4. But I'm going to close the comments.
The thing is, the problem that I have is that I don't know the order. I don't know the orders for sure. So I want to say
you don't have to go in order in this game, just so you know.
Oh,
You're naming the 7 most recent. If they're on the list, you get the point. If it's not on the list, you lose the points. Simon will get the points for the amount that you bid.
Well, let me get one that the team wasn't even there until very recently. So let me get the Las Vegas Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders, a.k.a. Allegiant Stadium, opened in 2020, which is number 1 on this list. Well done, Coop.
Okay, and I know that Los Angeles also got a new, very expensive stadium. One of the most expensive stadiums in the world. One of the most expensive structures in the world. I think that structure is top 10 in the entire world. SoFi Stadium.
SoFi Stadium was also built in 2020. Well done, Coop.
Lo-Fi Stadium.
Coop's
been watching that girl with the headphones on YouTube a little bit too much recently.
Just vibing, bro.
Lo-Fi Stadium is a lit name.
Lo-fi, bro. Yeah, we
just like big into lo-fi.
Yeah, we just cooling. Just listening to a lot of like Portishead.
No one cheers too loud. Everyone's
Just like, yo, man, I'm trying to have a good time, dude.
Hey, nice job, guys.
Well, just trying to chill, dude. Eagles fans are not allowed into Lo-Fi Stadium.
They actually can't even hear lo-fi music. They're too high energy.
Let me get. I know that I know this one for a specific reason. That when they built this stadium, they didn't realize that the glass on the outside was. They had the very like crazy transparent glass, and it was sort of like killing birds. This is the Minnesota Vikings stadium ran into this issue. I think it's the U.S. Bank, but I'm not entirely sure.
The Minnesota Vikings, they do play in U.S. Bank Stadium, and that is on this list, number 4, which was built in 2016 after the snow caved in the roof, if you recall that.
Oh, I did not recall that part. I just recalled the bird part. Now is where I'm not entirely sure, but I know that there was some. I remember there being some hubbub about them leaving Candlestick Park and building the new Levi Stadium, aka the Field of Jeans. So, can I get the San Francisco 49ers?
The 49ers, before I tell you whether that's correct or not, Coop, you are you had bid 4. Your winning bid was for 4. So you just need to get one more in order to get these points. Then you can choose to keep guessing here at a risk, but at a heightened reward at 2 times the number of points. You guessed 49ers Stadium, Levi Stadium, and that is on this list, number 5, which was built in 2014.
So that makes me want to guess another 2014. It makes me want to. It makes me want to guess one more, but
do it.
I don't think I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna take my points.
I got one.
Take your points. All right, Coop, you're gonna get 4 points. Simon, you want to for funsies guess?
Jerry World.
The Atlanta Falcons, Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz
blowing up the Georgia Dome.
Was built in 2017. You're right. That was number 3 on this list.
3.
And then is the other Mercedes-Benz, is New Orleans also on there or no? No, that one's old.
Is not on
that
there.
one's old.
So is Jerry World on there?
Jerry World is number 7 on the list in 2009. Sorry.
And then is the Cardinal Stadium on there?
No.
Okay, so
I had Atlanta, Las Vegas, LA, and Minnesota.
I might have guessed. I might have guessed the Cardinal Stadium, which I would have lost on. So I would not have gotten the Falcons.
Do you guys know the last one?
The
Hard
Padres.
No, it's MetLife Stadium in 2010.
Wow, really?
The Giants and Jets. Yep.
Makes sense. That to get 7 less recent, you have to go back 12 years. Honestly, that's more recent than I would have thought, considering how expensive stadiums are.
Expensive. Cool.
All right, Coop. You're gonna get 4 points for correctly guessing 4 of those stadiums. Off to a hot start here.
I'll throw a temper tantrum if I lose again.
Do it.
Dustin said Raiders, Rams/Chargers, Vikings, and Cowboys. Raiders were not on that list.
Got it.
Oh wait, no, sorry. Raiders were totally on that list. I was thinking
they were one.
I was forgetting they're Las Vegas now. Wow. Yeah, you were absolutely right, Dustin. Well done. And he said, if I had to guess more, I would say Atlanta and San Francisco, both of which
he would have
well
crushed.
Dustin killing it.
Well done. All right, Simon. You're bidding first on this next one. Tell me, how many of the cities that have hosted the most Super Bowls can you name?
Of how many?
Top 11.
The hosts with the most.
I've done this Sporkle quiz many a times, I feel like.
I mean, you're doing the first bid here.
4.
Coop. 5. Simon.
6.
Of 11?
Of 11.
Oh, man. It's the cities.
Cities, yep.
Go ahead, Simon.
Simon, you guessed 6 was your winning bid here. You have to name 6 of the top 11 cities that have hosted the most Super Bowls.
I'm now regretting this. I'm realizing this is much harder than it sounds like. Miami.
Miami is number 1 on this list at 11.
Yeah. New Orleans.
Hold on. New Orleans is number 2 on this list at 10.
Okay, the next name I have written down, I feel like this is going off script pretty early, but for some reason I have like a vague Sporkle-related memory of this being on there. Indianapolis.
Indianapolis
That was on my list.
is
High.
not on this
Really?
list.
Damn it.
You know what
I
it
thought
is?
for sure Indianapolis was on there.
Simon, you know why I thought? Because dude, that would have been my next guess, 100% as well. And I think I know why. It's because they always host the combine and the draft all the time.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Man, I felt like I was like, okay, this is going to be a good pull right here. We're going to get three and then we figure it out.
Dude, thank goodness you got it because Indianapolis I would have guessed Indianapolis second after Miami. The next one I was going to guess was Jacksonville. Are they on there?
Jacksonville's not on this list.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco is on this list at number 9 with 2.
Shoot.
Dallas.
Dallas is not on this list. Wow. Detroit is on this list at number 10.
Really?
2.
Oh, I guess they have a dome.
Yeah.
So dome stadiums. Yeah, I can't believe Indianapolis is not on there.
Victor said Arizona, Tampa, Miami, and
Arizona.
Houston.
Arizona was on my list.
Arizona is not on the list.
Really? What's the list?
Tampa is on the list, number 5. Yeah, I gotta just go through the list. This will be easier.
Tampa.
We got Miami at 1 with 11. New Orleans at 10. Los Angeles coming in at number 3 with 8. Tampa Bay at number 4 with 5.
Really?
You know what? Arizona was on this list.
Okay.
I was confused because of the way it was written. But yeah, they're number 5 at 3. Then San Diego, number 6 with 3. Atlanta, number 7 with 3. Houston, number 8 at 3. San Francisco, number 9 at 2. Detroit with 2 at 10. And Minneapolis with 2 at 11.
Wow.
Indianapolis as a city, I will never forgive you for the transgression that just occurred here.
If you just
to masquerade as an NFL city like you do, and then to have only hosted one Super Bowl is truly sacrilege. And I now have a grudge against the entire city of Indianapolis, all Colts players, fans, coaches, and anybody related to the team. Jeff Saturday, you're dead to me.
Oh.
We'll see how I feel tomorrow. But for right now, this is where I am with Indianapolis. I'm down 10-0 because of you.
Yeah, they do like you gotta either have a dome or a nice weather spot. They don't like the New England's never hosted ever.
Well, there were I forgot what the next words out of my mouth are going to be, but I agree with everything you're saying, Coop.
Yeah, like Green Bay. You're not going to put the Super Bowl in Green Bay. It'd be crazy.
So way too cold.
Buffalo.
I just saw a prompt that's saved in here for this game that Keith created, and it's the title of it is QBs with the biggest hands. In parentheses, don't use.
Does that mean they don't use their hands? Like the QBs with the largest hands that don't use them, or we shouldn't use that prompt?
I don't know. But then I looked at the list and I'm realizing why he said don't use it. But I'm curious why he left it in here, because the number 1 on the list is Jim Druckenmiller at 11.25 inches.
Wow.
To Dak Prescott, 10.88.
If anyone dropped old ham hands Druckenmiller on this one, dude, I would have walked off the show. Yeah, that's an auto 10 point.
Oh, whoops. He said I might go back and rewrite it. Well, I just gave away a lot of your answers.
Jim Drunkeldonger. What was his name?
Drunken Miller.
How about something like most
Jim
Drunken
Miller.
Jim
Drunken Miller.
How about most all-time rushing yards or something normal? Can we do normal ones for once?
No.
How about last names with the most letters?
Ooh, I got one.
That would be a good one.
Chris Fuma Tuma Ala Fala.
It's a pretty good one.
All right, guys.
Gotta be up there.
Coop, you're up by 10-0. You are bidding first on this next prompt. Your next prompt is, can you name the top 10 highest rated running backs in Madden 2023?
Oh, Madden, you silly devil. So I don't have Madden. I haven't had Madden in a few years, but I'm familiar with the ideologies that go into it. I bet I can. How many?
Top 10.
Top 10. I can name. I trust myself to name 4.
All right, 4. Simon.
5.
6 was as far as I would be willing to go.
I was hoping you would go to 6 because I'm not going to 7. I think you might get it, but I think there's a chance. There's a lot. I think the first couple are going to be obvious, and then there's a glob, and you're going to have to get a little lucky picking off the top of that glob, I think.
Yeah, I think so as well. All right.
So pass for me.
All right. 6 is the winning bid from Coop.
6 of the top
Coop?
10 rated running backs in the game of Madden 2023. I imagine this is like the start because I know they do like updates and stuff. So I don't know. I'm just going to go with what I think they programmed into the game to start this season. Because the game Madden 23 comes out in August. I don't know the criteria, but I got to imagine, regardless of how they're doing it, Jonathan Taylor is at the top of that list.
Jonathan Taylor is the 4th player on this list, coming in at 95 overall rating. So he's on this list. Well done.
That's pretty good. Give me
1 out of 6.
Derrick Henry. I'm guessing.
Derrick Henry is number 1 with an overall rating of 97.
Damn.
I got my 6. We'll see if it would have
How
worked.
could it be 97 when like his catch rating can't be that high in the game? Like it's got to take him down a little bit. Just saying. Okay.
Just saying.
I'm just,
Got him.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Suck at Derrick Henry. Can't catch a ball.
Give me Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey is number 3 on this list at 96.
Wow. So somebody else is number 2. Let me get Nick Chubb.
Nick Chubb is number 2 on this list at 96.
Okay. So I have the first
4 out of 6.
Man, I think I should have played.
I'm kind of hitting the wall that Simon was talking about, though, where it's like the first guys are pretty obvious. Can I get Austin Eckler?
Austin Eckler is number 9 on this list at 88.
Welcome to Scary Town. Boy.
Can I get a hot tub? That's what I thought you were about to say.
Can I get a hot tub?
I forgot about those commercials. Bring them back.
Bring him back. Let me get Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook is number 5 on this list, Coop. You are going to successfully get these points. Would you like to keep guessing? For
I think
twice
I'm
as
gonna
many points.
I'm going to do at least one more.
Oh, dear God.
Because I think that...
It's not
I
always
think that-
based on performance. So, like, Rashad Penny, just on, like, hype alone probably is up there.
Future
So I
Hall
think
of
that's
Famer.
him.
That was an
Rashad
excellent try. Simon. But I think I'll go with Alvin Kamara as a guy that I think would be graded pretty highly in a game like this.
Alvin Kamara is number 7 or 6 on this list.
So
90.
how many are left? 4?
There are 3 left.
3? I've got 2 more written down.
Would you like to stop, Coop, or would you like to keep guessing?
I think I maybe do one more.
What's it going to be?
I know. I think I'll just. I'm having trouble even thinking of goddamn teams, dude. I think I'll just. I think I'll just take the points. I'll take the points.
All right. 8 points.
Can I guess one?
No.
Yes, you may.
Saquon Barkley?
I can't believe I didn't guess. I never said Saquon Barkley. That's pretty wild.
Saquon Barkley is not on this list.
Okay.
Wow.
What about Joe Mixon?
Who?
Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon is I don't know. These numbers are all messed up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this list.
Okay.
Javonte Williams.
Javonte Williams not on this list.
Aaron Jones.
He's number 7.
I'm glad I stopped
Great.
when I did that. Because that
With
would
89.
But dude, I can't believe I never said Barkley. If Barkley came to me, I 100% would have said him and lost.
Victor in the chat said Chubb, McCaffrey, Barkley would have been right at 2 out of 3, and then it said Eckler.
I was
Eckler would've been
surprised
right
by the Chubb and Henry being 1 and 2. They're obviously great pure runners, but you would think that I don't know what is their pass.
I don't think you're penalized. I don't think like the composite score is like an average of all of your scores. You know what I mean? Like because pass catching isn't heavily utilized in their game, it's not taken as like a negative. They just don't get added as a positive. You know what I mean?
Right. And even if it is, now that I think of it, even if the pass catching for Henry's like 70, there are
66. Keith, let us know.
Yeah. Okay. But but there's also like, think of it. There's like vision, toughness. There's so many other things that might even just get averaged out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Well done, guys. Coops, that's going to give you 18 points because you got your 6 correct and then your 1 extra correct. So it is now 18-0.
This game sets people up for pain. And now Simon's on such crazy tilt that it only gets worse.
Yeah, just wait for this comeback.
Or you can smash, or you could just smash and bring it back. You did bring it back hard one of the other games.
You did.
And still lost.
Still lost, but anyone watching, anyone that like saw the final score wouldn't know how it went down.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it was a kind of a crazy twist towards the end. We got Craig in the chat said, "Howdy, partners." Howdy, Craig.
Anybody just
Good to
pop
see
it
you,
in to look at the box scores, after the show.
Yeah, they wouldn't have got it. All right, guys, our next prompt here. How many of the top 10 players with the most passing touchdowns in a single season can you name? How many of the top 10 most players with the most passing touchdowns in a single season? Simon, you are bidding first in this one.
2.
Coop. Coop.
4.
4. Simon. 6.
Oh God, that was a mistake. Or am I getting in your head? Do I know all 10 of them, Coop?
Do you know all 10? I don't know. So with 6, if you get all 10, then that would give you 7, 8, 9, 10.
6 plus 8.
That would give you 14. You wouldn't even win. I'll let you go. Go ahead. Try and name all 10.
Hey, we might have another prompt here. Jails, it could be another round.
Oh, yeah, there could be another round.
Okay, so 6, and I've won the bid.
You won the bid. 6.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning is number 1 with 55.
55.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is number 3 with 50.
Yeah. Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Tom Brady is tied. He's number 2 at 50.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is number 5 on this list with 48.
So I've got Manning, Mahomes, Brady, Rodgers so far.
Named 4, and you need 6.
Okay, so far going pretty well, but those were the easy ones, I feel like. And now I'm dipping into a little bit riskier territory.
Simon is naming how many of the top 10 players with the most passing touchdowns in a single season.
I'm just trying to think of some like huck'em chuck'em guys because now I'm getting nervous. There's some more MVP caliber seasons. I don't know if this guy ever did it. Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is not on this list, Simon.
Damn.
No, really?
Not on this list.
That's
no.
another one I would have lost, probably. I had Favre written down.
Seems like an uneducated guess based on his style of play.
Yeah. Craig in the chat said Kurt Warner. He is on this list at number 8.
Kurt? How many did Kurt throw?
Any other guesses?
How many did he throw?
41.
So Matt Stafford threw 40. I know.
I have him as 41 on this list. He's also on this list.
I knew he threw at least 40. Stafford was my next guess, but then I would have guessed Favre after Stafford, so I would have lost.
Favre is not on this list. Dan Marino's number 4, 48.
Thought about going that route.
Drew Brees is number 6 with 46.
Considered that
I had
one as
Brees
well.
written down too.
And then the last 2 were Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson.
Andrew Luck.
If I would have just stuck with like more modern, I think I would have been fine. I ruined it. I'm a stupid little piss boy.
Craig said he guessed Kurt Warner correctly, then guessed Breeze correctly, and Tim came in here with Jameis. Good guess.
Yeah, I could see it.
Him just being in this list.
Yeah, he 50 touchdowns, 50 interceptions in the same season.
Wild. All right, Coop, that's going to give you 24 points.
Weren't his stats one year, or am I making this up? Like, if you included pick sixes, he had thrown the most touchdowns in the league. It was just to both teams.
Jameis?
Yeah.
Yeah. He led the league, and he did lead the league in touchdown passes and interceptions.
Pretty good.
God, it's incredible.
It's a crazy season, dude.
All right, guys. Well, Coop, you are firmly in this lead. Do you guys want to play another firmly in this lead? Winning this game. Firmly in this lead doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I was trying to say.
Close enough, dude. That's
close enough.
Lead.
Yeah. You guys want to do one more round?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Name the top 70 running backs.
Name the top 26. All right. Let's get it. Let's do all right, let's do this one. How many of the top 11 NFL teams with the most penalties in the 2022 season can you name? 2022 regular season.
How many total? 10?
11.
11. Man, I feel like this is like just a
possibly difficult.
like just shots in the dark.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's why I said 1.
Like I'm just like blindfolding myself. There's targets all around the room, and I'm just spinning, shooting these guns, like hoping
You're going full Boondock Saints on this one.
Somehow you hit the bullseye in
There was
everyone.
a firefight.
Well, I almost just spilled a whole glass of water in my office doing that. Who's bidding first?
Simon, you were bidding first.
A 4.
4.
You got it, bud.
I'm not even sure I can name 1.
I don't know if I feel like I've heard it a million times this offseason. Like, oh, they were the most penalized, blah, blah, blah. But like, I just can't. It's so hard to compartmentalize those stats because I never pulled it up.
The one I'm having so much trouble with is because of the Cheffers reffing the Super Bowl. We heard the narrative over and over and over again about how he particularly over penalizes the Chiefs. But I think the rest of that narrative is that the Chiefs are generally below league average on penalties, but only above league average when Cheffers refs. But I can't remember if that's the narrative. Okay, let me just pick a team, maybe like an undisciplined team, a team with some issues, with some stuff going on. That would probably be the Raiders.
The Raiders are number 2 on this list with 113.
Yep, that was my first guess.
Simon, your name is 4. Browns are number 11 on this list with 102.
Nice.
Okay.
2 more.
We've hit 2 targets, baby. Let's close those eyes and spin again. Okay, now we're going to go with the Vikings.
The Vikings are not on this list. Sorry.
I would have gone Jets.
Jets are not on this list.
Salah and Salah we trust, man.
Yeah, but let's see. We had number 1 was Cardinals with 118. Raiders are number 2, 113, tied with the Broncos at 113. Then Dolphins, Titans at 111, Cowboys and Seahawks at 110, Giants at 106, and then Panthers and Patriots at 104, respectively. And Browns, of course, finishing this list with 102.
Well, this is disappointing because those are all teams I know the name of. And had I just aimed differently, I would have gotten it.
The thing is, Panthers is a team that that's a team name that would never have come out of my mouth on that one. I don't know.
I'm telling you, they're their most forgettable franchise. I stand by it.
You think so?
I stand by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Panthers are forgettable. I always forget they exist.
The last time I did the most forgettable franchise Sporkle was the Rams, but it was also before they won the Super Bowl.
The St. Louis
The
Rams.
Chiefs are always low on that as well.
Panthers might be
dynasty.
Panthers might be towards the top now. Someone's got to get in there.
Mine is the Cardinals. It's like I feel like every time I see the Cardinals, I'm like, oh yeah, the Cardinals. Like especially now that Cliff's gone. Know what I mean? Like I thought more about the characters, but I don't know, man. I just don't like. It's weirdly placed in the country as well. Like just like where is Arizona? That's an odd spot.
It is funny though that like some people like because of who you were a fan of, you will have different divisions that you think about more or less than others. Like I don't think that often about either the AFC or NFC South. I'm always thinking about the AFC East, but I could see why people would forget about the AFC East too.
I forget about the West.
Yeah.
I grew up East Coast, full East Coast bias, and all my teams were East Coast. I know the 8 teams out there. Sometimes I mix up who's in what division. Know what I mean? And I spend my entire life talking about and thinking about the NFL, but they're just not on my radar as much.
Yeah, I have to do the most thinking about the South ones when I'm like, who's in what division? What are the teams in the AFC South again? Oh yeah, these guys, the Texans. Texans is probably a pretty forgettable team for me.
Better balls in the chat. So Cowboys, always Raiders. Got 2 right, and then came in with the Packers, who are not on the list.
On the list.
Wah,
I got a bonk.
But the Cowboys let go. They let La'el Collins leave because he's such a heavily penalized player, and they still ended up on this list. So maybe it wasn't La'el. Maybe it's leadership.
Maybe it's Jerry Jones.
Maybe
specifically.
Maybe La'el stands for leadership on that one.
Maybe.
Leadership, Collins. Guys, coming up, we're going to answer some of Reddit's toughest questions. So stick around because you might have the same questions as well. You're watching the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network. Moose and Keith.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah until he was about 19.
Nice.
So,
Your wife did a good job.
yeah, you may want to talk to your wife. I would say about 13, he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required. And then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
You don't need to be like right 100% of the time.
No, there was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
a 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we could probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite.
Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, it doesn't count. Sorry, couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And they bring out the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
And I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right, he's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player's just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Is it me, Ray, or is the only publicity that Microsoft Surface has gotten out of their whole thing on the sideline is people throwing them to the ground in anger? Is that just a me thing? Or the only time I hear about this device, Ray, is when somebody is chucking it on the ground, just pissed off at it, which I get it. All of us are in that world. We love to do that. Only in the NFL, Ray, can they get away with it because these are free. There's no cost. It's part of the sponsorship. Here's 5,000 Microsoft tablets to get you through the NFL season, and these players just slamming them down. It's like they've become Gilbert on the sideline, and they're so frustrated. They're just the only publicity this company and this product has gotten is negative.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I see Dame in the chat. What's up, Dame? Welcome in,
What up,
friend. Dame? And Nick over here saying, damn, missed the whole last hour of the show on the phone with UPS. SMH, have a good one, guys. Freaking UPS. I'm going to go give them a piece of my mind, Nick. I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to say, hey.
Stop it.
Be nice to Nick.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, sir, this is UPS.
Wendy's.
Sir, we are so sorry. And we're going to make things right with Nick right now.
They start crying. They're like, I was just having a bad day when he called. I didn't mean to ruin it for him.
I'm sorry, Nick. I'm sorry.
Enjoy your day, Nick. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us. As always, guys, we're about to get into a segment we call We Answer Reddit. Reddit has important questions, some of the most important. And as a group here, we like to give back from time to time. And and help them out. Try to give them the best answers to these ever so important questions.
What we're here for is to answer all the questions in the world.
Every last one of them.
Every last one of them. For their first question, Reddit asks us, what's your first thought when someone says their favorite band is Imagine Dragons?
Ooh, okay. I'm glad this isn't Fast Guy Quick Time. Okay, but I have to say my first thought. Okay. I try not to be judgmental when it comes to music because everybody has different tastes. And like, I'm going to be real. There's music I like that I know you guys would freaking hate. It's weird. It's not good. There's music that's wildly popular that I like that other people don't. There's music the other way. So let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. That being said, when someone says their favorite band is Imagine Dragons, I imagine dragons that we won't have a lot in common. I imagine dragons that they are probably someone with different interests all around, not just music. If their favorite band is one of the most commercialized, overhyped rock bands of the modern era with good, catchy music.
Hey,
Right.
It's coming from Rebecca Black over here.
Right. No, I'm just saying, like, there's plenty to hate on about Rebecca Black. You can use all sorts of adjectives. But that's the kind of crappy music I like. If someone likes this kind of crappy music, we've got different tastes there, and I think it says more about who we are as people. Probably not gonna be my kind of dude.
Yeah, they got some catchy jams, dude. And the thing is, there's a lot of these bands that fall into the like auto hate category. Like when you say, "Oh, I like Nickelback," like
Nickelback's
yeah. But the thing is, like when you go through, like I can make you a playlist of Nickelback songs where you're like, okay, these are catchy songs, right? You could easily make someone a playlist of Imagine Dragon songs, right? So I think that part of it is my immediate thought is like, okay, this person, like Simon suggests, probably just listen to a little bit of radio in the car, and that's their exposure to music, right? Which is absolutely fine. But at the same time, I could see why they would get into that Imagine Dragons. They got some catchy beats, man. They got some catchy tunes. What do you think, Joe?
I think my first thought when someone says their favorite band is Imagine Dragons is that's cool.
It's like if your favorite pizza is Papa John's, in my mind. Know what I mean? Like, I like Papa John's.
You know your stuff.
It's good. But like, it's not the best. Like, it's like if you just tried Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Little Caesars and picked your favorite, that's what having Imagine Dragons as your favorite band is. It's not bad. Any one of those options is probably good, but it feels like there's no way if you knew more than 5 bands, you would pick Imagine Dragons as your favorite, even though they're probably above average. Like, I like them. Coop, you made it like they got catchy songs.
Right. I think there's levels to this stuff where like there are pizza connoisseurs that would look down at you for liking Papa John's, but I think the true pizza gods at the top, at the very top, will acknowledge that Papa John's is actually pretty good. And there's way worse pizzas out there, frozen pizzas, things like that. So I think that the real pizza gods know enough about pizza that they're not going to judge your pizza taste. They just like, they appreciate that you're into the pizza game at all. And I think the music people as well, you know what? They know enough about it.
Like music.
They'll understand the formula. Hey, you know what? Good for Imagine Dragons and the pop music formula. They got you, you know?
They'll say, oh, you like Imagine Dragons? You should check this out. Know what I mean? Not, oh, you like Imagine Dragons? It'll be like, oh, if you like
Imagine
that,
Kraken.
I bet you'd like this. Yeah, Imagine Kraken. Visualize Dragons.
Yeah. Dustin saying true pizza people know that Costco is where it's at. Dude, Costco is the answer for a lot of things. Have you ever had the cakes at Costco? Fire.
Yes.
Fire, dude.
I have.
I
have.
No, but I guess
and Nick follows up with point and laugh, boys. Point and laugh. And Scott Fish said, I'm with Coop. I find putting people into a box is not usually a good process, making assumptions based off one data point.
Exactly, dude. They might know more about. But that's the thing is you make fun of them for liking Imagine Dragons, and then it turns out they're like, oh well, you know, that's the only thing that I can get on my radio on my yacht. You know what I mean? Like they just smoke you. You're like, sorry, that's the only thing that comes through at my beach house in the Caribbean where people serve me drinks all day. So I just kind of ended up liking
that guy as a beach guy.
Right? They just smoke you.
Didn't see that one coming.
Right? Sorry. That's the only music that's the only radio station that I get down in my underground laser tag arena. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh geez, I was the nerd all along. So you can't really judge those people.
I missed something. I missed one sentence, and I wake up and Coop's talking about an underground laser tag arena.
I'm talking about reasons that this person would be like, oh yeah, like the first example was that you're like, oh, why do you like Imagine Dragons? And then he's like, well, that station that plays a lot of Imagine Dragons, that's the only one I get on my 100-foot yacht, right? Like, and then you realize like, oh, wait a second, this person is doing way cooler things than hanging around judging other people's music or even listening to, just like grinding through the albums of the year to figure out if Earl Sweatshirt or Tool had the better album. Like, he's just busy doing like super cool stuff. That's why he's like, oh yeah, Imagine Dragons.
Interesting choice.
Yeah,
Two bands.
It's all I can really get at. My helicopter pilot likes it. That's why, I kind of like it. Right. Like,
my helicopter pilot is big Earl Sweatshirt fan. Yeah, just massive.
Huge.
Massive OG Odd Future fan.
I just listen to whatever my butler plays, right? Like, they just kill you. So you got to be careful putting people in a box on their music takes because maybe they're too busy doing other cool stuff.
All right, let's get into our next question here from Reddit. I think we answered that one pretty admirably. This one titled Moral Compass. How do you determine right from wrong and good from evil?
Well, that took quite a step up from the last one.
That one's actually really easy for me. It really is.
Enlighten us.
Like, for as long as I can remember, I always just think like, what would my dad do? Like, what would my dad do in this situation? Right? Like, what would my dad say if I asked him about this? And it's so easy to figure out what is the morally right and wrong thing to do for me. It's always been that way.
Weird. I thought I was the only one that did that. I was thinking,
no, 100%.
What would Coop's dad do here?
What would I know that you talk to my dad often when you have decisions to make. Like,
of course.
I encourage everyone to check in with.
We wear our Lorne Michaels sweatshirts and we call each other.
We pop a Coop. Yeah. It's like, I just think I'm like, what would my dad, like, if I'm like, oh, should I do this? What would my dad say if I did that? Oh, I shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, going back as long as I can remember, and it served me pretty well. So shout out Papa Coop.
Jill, I've just gone down a rabbit hole here. I think I might change my philosophy to just every time I have a question, I'm going to think about what would Coop's dad do. But Coop, I'm going to need like maybe an AI model or like a state diagram, like something I can follow from point to point, because I don't want to have to call him every time, and I don't have the background knowledge available.
It's almost as simple as like weighing. Don't be a jerk versus like, is this kind of funny? And you gotta find it really is as simple as don't be a jerk. Like, just don't. If you don't be a jerk, then things are gonna be a lot easier for you in life.
Tim in the chat said, turns out my dad is a huge villain and I'm a bad person now.
That doesn't make you a bad person.
It's kind of just describes parenthood perfectly for everybody, right?
You
think your dad's always right, and then turns out, nope.
All of a sudden you're a Dolphins fan like Tim.
When I think about these questions, I think back to freshman year of college when I was 18 years old and thought I was hot shit taking philosophy classes and like got like really into it as an 18-year-old who thought he was deep as hell. But if there's one thing I took from like any of those philosophy classes I took in college, it was two of the systems of kind of like moral decision making and how you do it. One of them being deontology and the other one being utilitarianism. Deontology basically being, and this would probably have further questions here, the act itself, the morality of the action itself determines whether or not you should do it. And I know the question was defining moral, but like if someone shows up at your front door with a gun and says, I'm going to kill your wife, is she home? In deontology, you would say yes, because lying is immoral. In the act of lying itself is immoral. The consequences of the action don't matter. Utilitarianism is the other way around. It's the focus of the value is on the outcome or the consequences or the general utility that it creates. And you can view utility as happiness amongst yourself and the other people that this decision affects. So same guy at the door with the gun says, is your wife home? I'm going to kill her. A utilitarian would say no, because you're maximizing the utility of your wife by not letting her get killed by this guy, even though you did the immoral act of lying. Utility being happiness, not utility being usefulness. Yeah. So like I generally tend to lean more towards the utilitarian side. And like I think that just comes down to like Empathy is probably what these decisions lie down to. How does this decision affect myself and the others around me? Is this the one that's going to create a favorable outcome? Not necessarily the happiest outcome for everyone, because in utilitarianism, you got to balance. Sometimes your decisions, that guy with the gun's not happy at your front door. Now, that's an extreme example, but I try to run it through that filter. What's going to create the maximum utility here?
Interesting.
I'm just trying to think of like what I would respond to that guy with. You're not my wife?
You just get the chicken.
You just get the general chicken in there.
General Cluckhauser reporting for duty.
You did one 11 minutes into the show, and then you just did another one with like 11 minutes left. We've come full circle with the chicken noises.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and beautiful. The Scampers in the chat said same, but with Ani Coop.
Yeah, I mean, the two people.
WWACD.
You throw my
ACD.
You throw my mom in there, and you got the full roundhouse of my childhood. What about you, Jail? What helps you decide what's morally right or wrong?
I think Simon hit the nail on the head with the empathy part of it, and Dustin in the chat's the same thing. He said, "I think, how would I feel if I was on the other side of it?" I think that is the key to it. You gotta be able to put yourselves in everybody's shoes in the situation, and then make a calculation.
Dustin said Jail would just say, "Yep, was gonna divorce her anyway."
It's all a matter of time, predetermination, baby.
Now, now. I forgot.
Makes it
then
that mentality is going to make it tough for you to do some certain dynasty trades. Though I don't like doing dynasty trades that are complete ripoffs. I like ones that are like even for each
mutually
side.
beneficial. It's the best way to go.
Best way to go.
Maximize that utility. That seems like the way to get maximum utility from a trade.
It's almost like we modeled this at a point in time in our lives, Simon.
If somebody sends you a trade offer, I mean, accepting it makes them happy too.
But your utility matters as well. Know what I mean? Like, you are a factor in that equation. It's not just external utility. Utilitarianism includes your own happiness in that as well.
This whole concept has a place in game theory, utility theory, and everything.
Enlighten us.
I just said like trading, for instance. Trading, you have a utility. So like the best trade is one where the utility score on each side is as high as possible.
Makes sense. Thanks for the extra enlightenment.
You're welcome. All right, guys, I got one more question from Reddit here for us. You guys ready?
Yeah,
of course.
How would you answer the question? The following question, I should say. How would you answer the following question? If we only have one slot, why should we hire you? So if we only have one spot, why should we hire you? How are you going to answer that?
Easily. Here. Ask me again.
If we only have one spot, why should we hire you?
Come on. Come on.
Based on my susceptibility to peer pressure, Simon, you're hired.
You're in.
Got it.
You make a compelling argument.
You do. You do.
If they force me to say more, though,
I would say,
got one spot. Why should I hire you? Oh, Coop's going the begging route. I guess mine was a little bit beggy as well.
Very beggy.
I think I tried to make the case not from a why I'm the most qualified standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint, from a playing on there, like telling a story of how I got to this point. I'm trying to create I understand why some of the other candidates may look better on paper. But if you knew how I got here, if you knew the journey I took, and I'm going SAT style essay where you can just make up the facts on the way here. If you knew about the time I spent in the jungles of Borneo trying to complete the research to make it so I could be qualified for this position, you would know I'd be willing to do anything to succeed here. Those guys may have the higher GPA. They may have more experience on the resume. But if they slept inside a dead boa constrictor to stay warm, I don't think so.
Simon got himself swallowed by a boa constrictor just to stay warm and cut his way out.
I'm pretty sure you just combined Indiana Jones with Luke Skywalker. You're in the jungle,
coolest idea ever.
Sleep inside of another animal to stay warm. That is legit. You're like Luke, Indiana, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I love how your mix scoop was sleeping inside animals, snakes, Luke Skywalker, Indiana Jones.
Not wrong. Not wrong though, right?
Could also be the Revenant, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, there's like 2 whole things on one side of that.
Oh yeah,
the
Leo
sleeping
did
inside animals.
also sleep inside animals. I mean, there's more.
Rick and Morty, I think.
A lot more examples of sleeping
Morty
inside
slept
animals.
inside an
like
animal.
Rick and Morty's exactly that. Not the snake necessarily, but it took like Star Wars. And I guess it's just Star Wars. Never mind.
And I'm not hiring you if you're Morty, dude. Probably the least hireable character. Not only is he
Come on, Rick. Come on.
Not only is he a coward, but he doesn't even go to school.
But he doesn't go to school.
Right. He's like uneducated.
Well, Mr. Wonderful in Shark Tank would say that's a plus. Every time he has a kid entrepreneur up there, there'll be like a 9-year-old and he'll be like, all right, I'll give you the money, but only if you drop out of school and run the company at 10. Like, and obviously he's kidding, but like every time there's a child up there, he says that and then he goes, oh, you won't do it? I'm out.
The anti-college push is something that it bugs me, man, because it's like, yes, you can be successful without college, but at the same time, college can help you succeed. Obviously, like you guys wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for college, right?
I agree. I also think the other way, the push that everybody needs to go to college is also ridiculous with the price that college has. There's a barrier to entry for something that it's not a prerequisite for success. And maybe we should be investing in some more like trade schools and other things like that, more affordable options for people to get further education.
Right. A lot of directions you can go there. I think the real answer is that there is no one right answer.
Absolutely. Scamper said, sir, this is a Wendy's. I'm not sure if she's talking to us. We just got real serious.
This is more serious. What about more serious shows?
Mr. Scampers.
Mr. Scampers.
We hit on some very serious topics today.
We did hit on some very serious topics.
Learned a little bit about hockey.
Jale, how are you getting hired?
I'm getting hired by saying, look.
That's my line.
Hire me.
No. Okay, now what's your counter?
Now my counter would be,
come on.
But
yeah.
I'll keep sleeping with your wife if you don't hire me. And then he'll say yes.
Then he'll say, all right.
You know, I did read that in a book one time. It was like 7 Habits for Highly Effective Interviewees, I think was the name of the book. And number 1 was
Stephen Covey.
Let the interviewee know that you're having sexual relations with their spouse.
Yes.
And use it
as
to
a power
them.
move.
Exactly. Yeah. Or was that number 3? Was that 3 or 4?
I think it was 3.
I always get those mixed up, but yeah.
I think you might as well lead with that one.
4 was
I think that was Stu Covey, their cousin Stu. There's Steve, there's Sean, and then there's cousin Stu.
7 highly effective habits of idiots.
Of truck stop glory holes are the 7. Well, guys, I'm glad that's the last thing I said right before we head on out of here. That is going to be it for us today. Mr. Scamper said, hire me or tell me where your wife is. We're all getting fired, guys. No one's getting that job. We'll be back tomorrow morning with some more Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. Until then, though, make sure you're hanging around here for some more content here on BSN. We got Moose and Keith coming up next, followed by Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru. But until then, we're out of here, everyone. Adios. See you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Bye-bye.